Unmute.
There will be.
Now there should be sound. It's kind of like light. We now have light. We have sound. All right. Let me get. You do, and maybe tap it. Make sure it's on. It was up earlier today. I checked it. Good. I hear you.
It's green.
Yeah.
I think it's on.
Hello, Councilman Lee. How are you today?
Mayor, we're in 95% agreement. But if you had to pick something to irritate me, you did.
I did. I know. I
It
could
wasn't
tell.
into.
I have to think you must have talked.
Should be.
Huh?
I apologize.
I could tell.
Here, I got two copies of it.
What was that song? It's only just begun.
Yeah, yes, you better
Nope,
believe it.
nope.
It has.
It's over and out. I think that's another song.
We've only just begun.
Did Jonah help?
I know.
Did you get bored?
I'm exactly what to do in work. We'll just leave it at that.
He's just that way.
Yeah, you can have that copy. I got
I
one in
don't
here.
know.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm even 2 minutes ahead. Oh my God.
So yeah,
Hold me back.
so that's what that's really. I already got a copy. So there,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, there in front of y'all, there is some pictures and such, and Ms. Black is here. She's going to speak here in citizens' comment. She asked that.
Sure, sure.
One.
They appeared and
This
you
is
didn't.
this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We got a lot of stuff. A lot of things going on tonight.
Oh, there's certain
You
areas.
ready?
Surprisingly, I am.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
I have one of these too.
Okay.
Then I'll call it when it's
I mean,
ready.
we have.
Oh my God. It's either got a chip in it or press or it's kind of clear or it's been doing it all day.
And that would be asphalt.
Yeah, it's asphalt. Yeah.
So if I start my iPhone, I'll just like that. But I'll tell them that. Wind's picking up. Might rain.
It's at 1 to 2 inches coming towards San Antonio.
Let's see what she does. There's some trees.
Okay. That's not water in my truck.
There's coffee back there.
Show me. Go to give me the keys. I can run and grab a watch. Can you get there that fast? It's now a truck right there. It's sitting by the pump station.
She's going to speak during citizens' comments.
Some in. There's coffee back there. There's creamer.
Same here.
I'm telling you.
And I mean, we know the traffic is there with everything, with all the soccer games and baseball games. And
Yeah, no, these minutes need to be
6. Yep.
the 12. I pulled this 12, but I'm probably going to stress those briefly. Actually,
It is.
D through
Oh, excuse me, I'm
G,
sorry.
the minutes from the 6th.
Okay.
My marathon minutes.
I tried to
Oh.
find that thing.
You know what? I'm late.
You can't have it.
We'll call this regular council meeting in order. I'm looking at the clock up there, but I'm looking at this one. It's 6:01 PM. Okay?
Thank you.
And let's do this. Let's do a roll call real quick, make sure we have a meeting.
Sheena Martinez, District 1.
Houston Marchman, District 2.
Bill King, District 3. David Mers Jr. for District 4.
And Bob Lee, District 5.
Bruce Alexander, Mayor. Let's all stand for pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. Okay, we don't have a pastor here tonight, so I'll just go from there. Okay. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity for us all to come together and conduct the business of the city. Please help the council make wise decisions for the betterment of this entire community. And keep us safe and hope for some rain. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we're going to move right into citizens' comments. And I want to read this. The city council will hear comments from any citizen or visitor. Speakers must address their comments to the presiding officer rather than individual council members or staff. Stand at the podium, speak clearly into the microphone, and state your name, residential address before speaking. Speakers will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes for testimony. In accordance with the State Open Meetings Act, the city council is restricted from discussing or taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Action can only be taken at a future meeting. Is there anyone who would like to speak on citizens' comments? Yes, ma'am. Just please come up and name and address, and we'll go from there.
Good evening. I'm Margie Black. I live at 1009 Deanna Street. And thanks to Deborah Howe for making copies for everybody, so everybody has a copy of what I'm asking for. So I'm coming to you, before you, to ask you to consider paving my streets, Deanna and Algiers. Deanna Street is paved before you get to my street and after my street. The same as with Algiers. There is a baseball, football, soccer, cheerleading, etc. practices and games on the baseball and cycle fields. There are a lot of vehicles that park on both sides of the street during these activities. Paving the streets would enhance safety by providing a smoother road and would cut down on the washboard surfaces, ruts, and potholes, hazards which cause damage to their vehicles. Paving would cut down on the amount of dust generated by the number of vehicles that park on that street. This would improve the quality of life for residents and event participants by having a smoother, more durable surface with less dust. I spoke to the Public Works Street Director over a year ago and was told that Vienna Street was not a designated street. I'm not sure what that means. However, the mail carrier delivers and picks up my mail, and garbage and recycling are picked up. Paving would also enhance the wear and tear on these commercial vehicles. Thank you for allowing me to speak at this meeting. I am confident that the city of Castroville will be willing to meet the needs of its residents and visitors. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, anyone else on citizens' comments? Okay, let's move on. This item number 8 is considering possible action. Oh, we don't have that. We didn't have an executive session. I'm sorry. Item 9, consent agenda. City Council?
I would like to move that we take items E, F, and G off the consent agenda.
Okay, E, F, and G. Anything else? Anybody?
Yes, I'd like the minutes pulled till the next meeting for item B, the August 12th meeting.
The August 12th meeting?
Yep. Move into the next meeting for approval.
All right, well, let's go through these. We pulled B, E, F, and G off of the consent. Is anybody else? I would entertain a motion for the rest of the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A, C, and D.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve consent agenda items A, C, and D. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. Let's go straight down the lines. Item B, you're talking about the minutes for the 12th. I need a motion to basically table those till the next meeting,
Make the motion to table those minutes for numerous corrections until the next meeting.
the September 9th meeting, to bring them back.
Correct. Till the September 9th meeting.
Looking for a second on that?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, the motion made second was to table the minutes of the August 12th meeting till September 9th. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Let's go to item E, which is discussion and appropriate action on a resolution amending the development agreement for the City of Castroville Public Improvement District, the Heights of Castroville. Before City Council gets into discussion, I'm going to make a comment on that. If anybody hasn't, even though these went through P and Z, I believe that it's not in line with the development agreement. The development agreement maxes out a tax rate, and increasing the PID increases the tax rate over what's in the development agreement. So I think it needs to go back for reconsideration.
Can we get staff's input on that?
Sure. Or anybody else have any comments on that one? It might have been an oversight when it went to P and Z, but it's in the information provided.
I had some questions on the resolution itself on page one, several pages back. It says, whereas the city confirms its prior determination that the property's development pursuant to the agreement is amended by the amendment will benefit the city by, among other things, expanding the city's property and sales taxes, providing additional for city residents. I didn't really understand that statement. And further establishing standards that I got, but providing additional for city residents, additional what?
Okay. Hi, Council. Good evening. Yes. Okay, and I'm sorry, Bruce, what was the first comment? I wasn't completely
Okay,
understanding.
let me get to the page
Yeah.
really quick. It's it is section 5.02, page 26 of the development agreement
Mhm.
that specifies that all the maximum ad valorem tax, including all entities plus the PID, cannot exceed $3. This puts it at 305. So this is in conflict with the development agreement.
So the paperwork that you have presented in front of you is to amend that development agreement amendment. That is what it states, is the development agreement amendment to include that amount into that PID.
So that particular section of the development agreement would also be modified?
I believe so. Yeah, that's what that resolution is there for.
Okay.
And I guess somewhere in there, it also said our legal looked at this, right?
Yes, both of our legal thoroughly vetted this and went through it, and they didn't find any issues with it. The planning and zoning also, it went through planning and zoning for recommendation. They also recommended approval on this. We do have the developer and their attorneys here. If y'all have any really nitty gritty details, I'm sorry, I'm not a PID expert by any means, and so I just take the information I'm given, do the staff
Right.
reports. And so, of course, if y'all need a bigger explanation on anything, I would invite these people up here to talk to you about that. But it has been vetted through the legal and vetted through planning and zoning and was recommended for approval.
Actually, to be, without any disrespect to anybody, I'd rather hear from our attorney and not the developer's attorney. And I don't see where this modified the development agreement to increase that to 305.
Okay, well, they did vet all the paperwork that was submitted to approve this PID amendment and this development agreement amendment, and they did said that our paperwork did support that.
But it's not here. Okay. Thank you. That's also, that's just my comments.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you one here on the front part of the whereas I just read. And it says providing additional for city residents, but it does say additional what? And are you saying it's providing additional services, benefits? What is it? It's an incomplete
By
sentence
chance,
to
do
me.
you know? I don't know off the top of my
Sure,
head.
if you'd like to, that's fine, but
Yeah.
I'm not here to negotiate without our attorney present.
We're not negotiating
Okay,
anything. This
good.
was presented for approval.
Oh, well,
Yeah. Mhm.
I, that's a city council decision, but I couldn't support it.
I guess I would like, if your attorney knows what the answer Bob's question about what, I assume that means the additional fee, but.
For the record, Bob Killen, representing, you have two development agreements in front of you representing both those developers, Infinity Homes and Kingfish South Heights and Black Creek projects. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't have the document in front of me.
Well, here it is.
If that,
It's the resolution.
He's referring to the resolution.
And in the development agreement, it specifically states,
It looks like there's a word missing.
Yeah, that concerns me when attorneys read documents and there's words missing.
I would say, again, this is a decision, your staff, your attorneys, in terms of how you process it.
sure.
Clearly, that's, I didn't draft the resolution, typos happen, but, again, I'm not going to give you legal advice. You have attorneys for that. You could approve it in substantial form and let it get tweaked and not sign it. That's generally what we would say is the mayor doesn't sign it until it's actually finished, If there are no substantive questions, you can do that. But again, I'm not here to give you legal advice. I'm here on behalf of my client.
Okay, I doubt that it changes changes anything to put, whether it's benefits or anything else. I mean, with nothing being specified, if anything, we come out ahead because we don't have to give whatever it was that sentence was going to say. On page 12, it says assumed interest rate 2% or inflation rate. I'm sorry. Does that have any bearing on anything? On page 12 of this same document, yeah.
Okay, they're numbered 39, so I'm not sure where he's at. Sorry.
Well, I'll show it to you right here. Page 12 of 12, it's written, it says here, annual inflation, this is under Heights of Castroville PID reimbursement bond, assumptions, 2% annual inflation. Does that figure have any bearing on anything materially?
That's a non-substantive provision. It just references what
All
you
right.
assumed
All right.
for calculation purposes.
I actually read these things, and when something pops up, it makes me wonder. All right, thank you.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes, so Brianna, I had sent a question ahead of the meeting. This item E specifies that it's amending the agreement to set the aggregate principal amount of all PID bonds shall not exceed 6 million plus the amount. Is that changing the limit, or is it just establishing a limit for the first time?
I believe in the Heights of Castroville one, that was just establishing the limit for the first time. And I'm
All right.
sorry, I had teeth work, so I just have a lisp.
Thank you. That was all.
Okay.
I did have a
Thank you.
question I sent into Leroy about, I know, but I'm addressing the chair. Does the city, and I read through these things, it basically says we're not obligated. And so I'm wondering, I get the impression that we're issuing the bonds. Is that correct?
Yes,
And we have no obligations in case they're not?
that's my understanding of the PID process. That's correct.
That's very interesting.
The PID, the obligation is an assessment on the properties within the development. Am I correct?
Yeah, Councilman, so the term of art is there non-recourse, right? So if there's a default, it goes against the property, not against the city. It has no impact on the city's bonding capacity because they're designated. Again, we have a finance expert in the room, but I'm just telling you in terms of the legal structure of it, there is no opportunity for the bondholders to go after the city.
Okay. Does issuing these bonds have anything to do with the city's borrowing capacity?
It does not. It does not, because the designated dollars for the bonds come specifically from the assessment.
All right, thank you.
Brianna, I may be wrong. I don't have the document in front of me. I'd have to look it up on someone's computer. But I believe the Heights of Castroville, just like the others, had an amount in there. And this is increasing the amount on both of these. I believe, and I don't have it in front of me, but I believe they both had a base amount.
Yeah, I don't
Both
have it in front of
increasing.
me either. I'm sorry. but
I want to think the Heights is 5 million and they're increasing it to 6 and the other one is 25.
you might be right about that, and I'm sorry if I misspoke.
So it is an increase on both of them.
From what to 6?
From 5 to 6, which pushes it over the $3 max assessment. And then the other one, well, I'm not going to talk about the other one. We're talking about Heights. Right. And I just want to make sure that the development agreement we have has a maximum ad valorem tax on it. I want to make sure that we don't do something that exceeds that cap and has potential to come back to the city that the city can't exceed that cap on those properties within that development.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So remember, we've got two documents that you've approved. We have the development agreement, which is a framework for land use and things like that, and the annexation piece of it. And it has reference to the PID, but the PID amounts, the assessments, the maximum taxation equivalent, that's all in the PID documents that you previously approved. So you've already locked that in, right? So what we're doing is we're matching up the language in the development agreement with the PID documents. That's the teeth, so to speak, are in the PID documents previously approved by council.
Okay, I'm not going to argue because I'm not an attorney.
Oh, no.
Last week, myself, Councilman Marchman, and Brianna were at a TML Land Essentials type conference. A lot of attorneys in the room. Everything was put on by an attorney. And one of the messages was driven home is development agreements are binding on the city, and the city could face issues if they didn't follow that. And it was another one, when someone comes for an amendment, even for a PID amendment, it opens the door for negotiation of the development agreement. Now, I'm not trying to go back and redo the development agreement. I just want to make sure that the city is not obligated for anything beyond this.
Yeah, absolutely, Mayor. So great point. So the legislature, development agreements have been in the Texas Local Government Code for a number of years. But a few years back, a few sessions ago, what they did was they changed it. Now development agreement's called a contract.
Yep.
They removed a city's immunities, all of your standard immunities. You know, they really kind of doubled, tripled down because there were some, not Castroville, of course, there were some bad actor cities out there who would basically renege on their promises. And that's what development agreement was a promise. So legislature said, look, we're going to put some teeth into this and make sure that if a property owner has an agreement with the city, that has enforceability. Here, what we're doing is we're taking the development agreement that had been approved by council and the PID documents that have been approved by council, as we talked about with P&Z last week, and we're making sure the language matches up. Because what we don't want to do moving forward is have an inconsistency between the two documents. And so those dollar amounts are being matched up. So the development agreement, you're not increasing your commitment because, again, you've made commitments to the PID documents. What we're saying is the lower dollar amount in the development agreement, because we're at the initial stages when we started the development agreement as the first step in the process in our dialogue with the city, doesn't match up with the PID documents. And so all we're doing is making them the same.
Okay, I'm just back to that same thing, that $3 cap, and this is 305. So you can't get me past that.
I absolutely understand. Again, we're just trying to create greater clarity in that first document we did, make sure it matches up with a real kind of a working document for the PID piece of it.
Yes, sir. Mr. King?
No.
Oh.
You should pass.
Sheena, did you have any comments?
One thing, there's a root cause letter in here that says that if they hit a rock that is to be above and beyond expected, the contractor shall stop work immediately, notify the owners, and only proceed on agreed hourly charge basis to continue excavation. That's no cost to us, correct?
I am not familiar with that. Thank you.
Right here, it says all pro paving.
Sheena, if I may, it's not a city's.
I'm
City
just,
doesn't own it until they complete it and dedicate it.
it doesn't specify that. I'm just making sure.
Hey,
Okay. I was reading everything and there was nothing that said.
but let me go back, and I love to double down. It's no cost. Nothing in this project will represent a cost to the city. Even things that are, have some sort of administrative implication, the PID will reimburse the city for staff time, consultant time, all of that. You enjoy the increased tax revenues. It's all upside for the city. So, that was an attachment that had to do with the contractor. It has no implications for the city.
I just want to make sure, I'm back on that again, that hopefully for a long time, but if you're not here, another attorney comes in and says, wait a minute, you can't assess these people more than $3. This 305, you've got to eat the extra 5 cents. I don't want to be caught that way.
I absolutely agree. So to answer that question, everyone that buys a lot within the PID, as part of their closing documents, they get in huge letters, you are buying into a PID, this is your assessment, this is your obligation. There will be not a single homeowner within either of the two PIDs we're talking about tonight that doesn't go in fully aware. The legislature continues to increase the transparency component with PIDs because they don't want that thing. Because when PIDs were created long ago, people, they'd move in and suddenly had this big assessment. They were like, I don't understand this. So it is very clear as part of the closing process. So hopefully you won't see another lawyer here complaining about anything. Hopefully I'll be doing this for a long time.
What happens, just a hypothetical, sir, when because that could keep going up far beyond that 305 or $3.
So that is not a cap on the city. The cap is any limitation is specifically to this project and to this PID.
Okay, I got it, but the 100 lots in there, we're capped at what we can tax them because
No.
we're capped. It says in there a maximum ad valorem, including PID.
You mind if I?
Oh, go ahead. I got to get clarity on that one.
My name's Andrew Friedman. I'm the financial advisor to the city, along with Mark McCliney, Samco Capital Markets. In talking about that tax cap in relation, or the tax rate equivalent that's outlined within that development agreement, that's not binding upon the city in any way. In terms of, if in your example it was at 305 and ultimately it went to $3.10 for exactly the reasons you point out, that school district taxes go up, et cetera. What that cap establishes is if that PID goes to sell bonds toward that revenue stream, that the city would limit the amount of leverage, the amount of bonds that the district could sell to maintain that tax rate equivalent, that tax stack that's outlined within the development agreement. And if circumstances change, and that's at the time of bonding, once it's bonded, the annual assessment is set for those homeowners based upon that fixed interest rate loan underpinning the district.
I just want to make sure that we don't.
And in no case is there, some cost overage. You reference, the construction bids or estimates within there. That becomes a developer's obligation in order to complete the infrastructure that does ultimately get deeded to the city.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a motion?
Sure.
I make a motion.
Justin, you were done talking?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I make a motion that city council authorizes the mayor to sign and approve this resolution amending the development agreement to the City of Castroville Public Improvement District, parentheses, the Heist of Castroville, close parentheses, only after the mayor has had consultation with the city's attorney and satisfies his concern.
I second that motion.
A motion made and seconded to authorize the mayor to enter into the amended agreement after the mayor has consulted with the city attorney to satisfy the concerns. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. All right, there's that one.
Can I make a motion on the next one?
Absolutely, sir.
I would make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the approval for resolution amending the development agreement for the City of Castroville Public Improvement District, Flat Creek, or Public Improvement, East Side Public Improvement District number 2, parentheses, Flat Creek, close parentheses, only after his consultation with the city's attorney that has satisfied his concerns with these documents.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Hello. Motion made and second to authorize the mayor to sign the amended development agreements for the PIDs for the East Side Public Improvement District number 2 after consultation with the city attorney. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question on,
Yes.
who knows the way this thing prints page numbers, but it's under the First Amendment Development Agreement. And I'm sure this is just because I haven't dealt with these before. And it says witness, I think it says page 67 in here, section 9, item F. It says, now therefore, in consideration of the foregoing and other good and valuable consideration. And I was just curious, what does other good and valuable consideration consist of?
I have absolutely.
Illegal.
It's a,
You didn't study that in school?
That,
it's a general term.
that's a generic lawyer language. It's kind of like when you buy a house, you buy your house, your piece of property for $10 and other good and valuable consideration, right? You don't put the actual contract amount in there. In this case, we're saying that both sides are receiving some value because this is a contract per state law. And, it's a whole host of things, working with great staff, working with great council members, the value that we're bringing to the property. It's a catch-all kind of thing that lawyers came up with hundreds of years before I was born. So
That explains it perfectly.
Any further discussion?
Nate,
Yes.
would you like to know some of the things that are in that development agreement from my memory?
Yes.
Okay.
Brief, go ahead.
Several things that we got in the Flat Creek development agreement were higher design standards on the homes. They were the connection for the northern route, which because we do not have an adopted thoroughfare plan, we could not require them to do, as well as numerous connections where roads run to the property line instead of just ending in a cul-de-sac. Those are several of the things from my memory that we got.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, motion to authorize mayor to sign the amendment after consultation with legal. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? None, motion carries. Okay, item G,
Thank you all so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
thank you. The preliminary plat of Castroville Village Estates 2, and I do have someone who would like to speak on that. Ms. Grove? Dawn Ray Grove, they're adjacent property owners.
Yes, my name is Dawn Ray Grove. We live at 1202 Country Lane. Our 5 acres is directly adjacent to Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Country Village Estates. So the reason I'm here is that because it's on the agenda tonight, we need to let you know some concerns that we have regarding Phase 2 starting. Just to let you know, Country Lane is the road that runs from Highway 90, and it goes all the way up that road directly in front of our property, right in front of our gated 5 acres. In order for the work to begin on Phase 2, this road will need to be extended further than where it is. It stops maybe 5 feet before our gate. It's going to have to be extended up that hill, which is what our concern is. This is the only entrance and exit that we have to our property. Our concern is when construction begins, we will lose access to get in and out of our house. It's been suggested to us by a couple people that maybe we could take down part of our fence that surrounds our property and make another entry and exit point. This is not going to happen, and we are not going to do that. We should not have to do that. So what we're asking of the city is to please be mindful of the fact that we live there. Please keep us updated about the construction timeline and the process so we can work together and plan accordingly. Just some background. That the construction was we were never notified, not one single time. We heard about it through the grapevine at the Valley Mart parking lot. We had to beg for information. It was a nightmare. There were days the construction was so bad, I could not get to work at Castroville Elementary. I would have to put on my rubber boots, tromp through the mud in the ditch, and get a ride from one of my coworkers to make it to work. And then vice versa on the way home. That happened multiple times because that's when it used to rain here. And we haven't had rain since.
Okay.
Our internet line was cut 9 times during that process, many times by city employees. Our mailbox was run over so many times by the construction crews that we gave up. We just had our mail held for 2 years and had to go to the post office every day. We picked up trash every single night for nearly 3 years. Trash in our yard from the builders, trash from the construction crews. It was sucked up to our fence. We did it every single night because we wanted our property to look nice. I came home from work one day, drove up, and I found what is called on the plans a street end barricade set in cement all the way across the road, preventing me from getting to my gate. That is on the plans and was approved by somebody. So we had to complain, we had to beg to get it ripped out so we didn't have to jump the curb, drive in an empty lot to try to get to our house. This was a nightmare. So that's what our big concern is with phase 2 starting. When the street was finished, we did ask for the crews to extend it past our gate to go ahead and just kill two birds with one stone so you wouldn't have to hear from us ever again. We were told that would be done, and they finished it about 5 feet before our gate. So here I am with phase 2 starting. So please keep us in mind. We deserve better treatment than that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Grove.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Grove. Did you want to start, Mr. Lee?
Surely. Well, first off, I'd want to know what it would take to just grow happy. I think that's important. The other question I had was about parkland. That it appears here that the development paid a fee in lieu of parkland dedication. And are there no families up there with small children? Are they all old people like me, or well, this is further up?
No, I understand.
I understand that.
So per y'all's subdivision ordinance, anything under 100 lots or does not require parkland dedication. It actually requires to be paid the fee in lieu of. So that's just per your subdivision ordinance.
And how much was that fee?
It hasn't been paid yet. It's just we're in the preliminary plat stage, so that still has to get the appraisal and the value.
The ordinance 100-53 parkland dedication specifies under 100 lots, it's 5% of the appraised value based on the Medina County Appraisal District's value of the land. Mm-hmm. So it's a 5% of the value of that property is due to the city.
Right.
Upon planning.
Yeah,
I understand
that's
that.
correct.
I would ask Valdez, what happens to those funds that are collected for money in lieu of parkland dedication? Where does that money go? So when they pay their
I can answer that one too.
Where does it go?
But the same ordinance that requires the 5% specifies that the funds be put in a park land fund that can be used for anything to do with a park anywhere in the city.
That's correct.
That's by ordinance.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, you're correct. Okay. Yes, you are. And if you don't mind, I would love to
please
address Ms. Groff, because I'm very sorry for everything that you went through. My name's Brianna Soto, and I apologize. I just responded to your email today. It went to my junk folder, and I don't typically check that. But if you do have any issues moving forward with phase 2 construction, I'm out of Public Works. You're more than welcome to always come and get me. I will go out there. I went and drove through the neighborhood today just to see how it was laid out. And they did account for how you could get access to your driveway in these new plans, which I sent to you. And it's on page, I think it's C11.01. Yeah, and it shows the access to and from your property. So I apologize for what you went through last time. But yeah, yes, ma'am. So any issues, please feel free to contact me, and I'll go out there and we'll make something happen. So I apologize. So those issues that she has for access to her property are addressed within the construction plans that the engineer reviewed and approved. So, okay.
Mr. Murphy.
And then to be clear,
I apologize. Mr. King, Mr. Lee, will you finish?
I am finished.
I'm sorry.
he wants to talk to anyone but you.
Council.
Tried two names before he got to
I
Lee.
did. Council.
So is this plat
in conformance with our subdivision ordinance.
That's correct. There is no variance has been asked, and it is all in conformance with your subdivision ordinance.
And so we don't really have any option but to approve it. We can't send it back and ask for changes.
City council can always do what they want, but it is not staff's recommendation since it is in accordance with all your ordinances. That opens you up for legal ramifications.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman King?
Yes, and just for clarification, this phase is all within the city, the city of Castroville's boundaries.
That's correct. It was not, when they were doing the first phase, not all of it was in the city limits, but they did annex into the city, so now it is all in the city limits.
Okay, and then is it Groff?
Groff.
Grove.
I'm sorry.
Is your property in the city of city of Castroville?
The front acreage of ours is, and we had a shared easement with the gentleman that owned all of that property. And in the paperwork that we signed when we moved in, we were told that, in the event that it got divided, we would deed over 25 feet of the road that we had maintained for almost 10 years. We had maintained that side of the road, 25 feet of it, and it would be deeded into the city whenever the roads and whatnot got put in. They used our side that we had put our heart and soul and money into for all of the construction.
I understand, but so that 25 feet, that's the part that has come into the city?
But as far as I know, it is still on our tax record, and that has not happened yet, even though we have inquired about it.
I guess the reason I'm asking these questions is to see if the city, other than just asking the contractor, if it's outside the city can't do anything. We can ask the contractor, but if it's in the city boundary, I'm not saying who owns it, it's just if it's in the city boundary and you pay city taxes on it and it's part of the city, then the city can be involved in requiring stuff. But otherwise, we can just ask the contractor if it's outside the city, because we don't have jurisdiction outside the city.
The front part of our property is in the city and the road is as well. Still on our tax roll, but it's a city street now.
Okay, so it's about 25 feet that's in the city. Okay,
And
that
also,
answers my question.
talk with me and Deborah about that because it should be taken off your tax roll since it was.
Several times, we're still fighting.
Okay.
Mr. Marchman?
Ms. Grove,
Yes.
so, and Brianna,
Yeah.
both of you, because I assume that's where this is going to go. You, just for my clarity, what do you need to make this right?
We just want
What access?
the city to be aware of the fact that we live there,
Right?
because we seem to be invisible for 3 years during the construction process. And we had to beg and try to speak to construction workers, and every day it was something new.
Okay.
Something new, a sewer line running down the road.
Okay.
They had to redo the manhole covers 8 times.
Okay.
To get them approved. So we leave for work, it'd be fine, we come back, the streets are torn up again, and we can't get to our house.
Okay.
So now that the road is going to be extended, it's going to go directly in front of our gate, and that is our only access. And we just wanted to make people aware of that, because with phase 1, we were never contacted. Not one, not a letter, not an email, not a phone call before phase 1, and it was already approved.
Got it.
Okay.
And
So
Brianna,
that's what we're afraid of.
Okay.
Brianna, you have what you need to help.
Yes, sir.
You have, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Martinez?
And that was going to be my part, is Brianna, just keep her informed
Okay.
of everything. If stuff's starting to kick off, let them know.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't let them fall off the radar again.
Okay.
Okay, and if there's a change or or if she reports that there's issues, trash, what have you, your job is to let the contractor know, hey, that's not cool. Let's do what we're supposed to do and be good neighbors and everything, because that's not how we should treat our citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank
Entertain a motion to approve the preliminary plat for Country Village Estates Phase 2.
I make a motion as read.
Motion made and second to approve the preliminary plat for the Country Village Estates Phase 2. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's move on to presentations. Mr. Chadwick. Thank you. Presentation by Mark Chadwick, Medina County Emergency Services Coordinator, covering outdoor warning sirens, iPhone system, Alliance for Community Solutions, Industrial Emergency Management Plan, component of Medina County Plan, NIMS, and retraining for public officials. Mr. Chadwick, you're up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I appreciate your opportunity to allow me to be here to present on this behalf. I've been very, very blessed in working with the folks from Castroville. I have nothing but good things to say about Chief Kohler and his folks, the hard work that they do every day, and the assistance that they provide on a lot of things that we do, working with Mr. Dixon. So some of the concerns I know come out of what happened in Kerrville. So I want to address, first of all, notification systems. I know sirens were a big thing on everybody's mind, but I don't know if you know this, but the actual name for those is outdoor warning siren.
Mhm.
Okay, so they're only intended to be heard if you're outside. And really what an outdoor warning siren tells you is go inside, check the news, get on your phone, check the weather service. It doesn't tell you anything else. So we have 18 of those throughout the county. There's 3 of them right now in Castroville. There was one that was having a glitch. That's all been repaired and everything. So all the ones in Castroville are working fine. So sirens are the smallest portion of our notification system, the smallest, because it's only meant to alert people outside. And I know Mr. Dixon right now has some great ideas about maybe repositioning the sirens that are in Castroville to places that have larger congregations outside, like your parks and things like that, where you would find people. And so that'll be something that maybe he'll present to you at another time, but it's a consideration, moving these things, because there's been growth in the city since the time these things were put in 20 years ago. Other types of notification systems, the simple one, social media and media, those everybody knows about. We also have the iInfo system that probably most of you are aware of. That's our opt-in. You can sign in and register to receive notifications from us. I push out notifications, the cities push out notifications, but those are things you opt in for. We have over 11,000 people in the county who have opted in to receive notifications. But there's another one that you may not be aware of, and that's called IPAWS, Integrated Public Alert Warning System. It's a federal system. So if you get amber alerts, silver alerts, blue alerts, those kind of things on your phones, that basically comes through IPAWS. So IPAWS has 3 parts. One is WEA, it's the Wireless Emergency Alert System. That allows us to be able to push a message. So right now, if I pulled out my phone and I logged in, I could push a message that would go to, I can make it either everybody in the city of Castroville, everybody in the county, or I could pull up a map and I could actually draw a polygon. And what it does is it sends a signal with that message to every cell phone that's within those cell towers. So that's even anybody who's driving through. They could be visiting from another country. If they have a cell phone, they get the message. So wireless emergency alerts is part of IPAWS. Another part of it is the EAS. For those of us a little bit longer in the tooth and a little bit more gray hair, we remember the days when at night you would see the emergency alert system and it would scroll across the bottom of the TV screen. That's still available today. So when I send an IPAWS alert, I can opt to send it just to the wireless or to wireless and emergency alerts, where it would go to all of our major media broadcasts. And I can also select another box, just check a box, and it will send it to NOAA. That's the National Weather Service. And then they send it out by text, weather radios, and those kind of things. So the bigger part of emergency notifications is IPAWS. And for example, how many of you remember the bomb threat in Castroville, right? How many of you got the notification on your phone that said you're probably going to hear some bangs? This is a law enforcement issue. Please stay away. I'm the one who sent that message from the Dairy Queen parking lot. Okay. and it went to everybody who had a cell phone in the city of Castroville.
Nope, it didn't.
Well, if your cell phone carrier was not part of the program, now that's cell phone carriers.
Yeah,
It has
AT&T.
nothing to do with the iPod system. Cell phone carriers, so like people who have Cricket and those kind of things like that, they might not. Or if you have an older phone that's not a smartphone. But those are all things that, yeah.
And you have a dumb phone.
No, I'm the one that called Scott asking about it, and he's
Yeah.
the one that triggered stuff. So.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of notification systems. So sirens, again, just a little part. We want to have multiple ways of notifying the public, though, on anything. On the emergency operation plans, the county plans, the city plans. So the good thing is the city of Castroville entered into agreement with the county just a few years back. I was here at the council, and y'all adopted to appoint me as your emergency management coordinator as well for the city. What that did for you is the plans that I write for the county, then you came under. The only other option would have been for the city to hire somebody to do that and write all of the plans that I had to write for the county. Now, I've been doing this kind of stuff for over 40 years now. So the templates that I wrote for emergency support functions, which is the most current type of template that's used for emergency operation plans anywhere in the United States, were approved by the state over 3 years ago. Our plans have the highest level of respect from the state. And in fact, they use those templates to share with other jurisdictions throughout the region. You can check with Steve Harris. He's the state regional planner, and he will tell you that himself. So you fall under our plans, which is great. And also part of that agreement is that you would have a local person assigned as the assistant. And in this case, that's Chief Kohler. And so he and I communicate on a lot of things. And the way that that works is we understand. You have personnel who are professionals who can handle 99.9% of everything that happens here in this city. You don't necessarily need me sticking my nose in. But on that 0.1%, if my help is needed, it'll be here. Some of the examples of that, we provide resources during some of your planned events here for the city. That comes right from my office. Generators, light towers, things like that. National Night Out, the old-fashioned Christmas, all those things. Those things come right from me in my office. Also, I write plans. I write what are called incident action plans for the specific events that we hold. And we coordinate a lot on those kind of things, and I provide those things as well. And that's one of the benefits in working together. Every year at January, the Texas Division of Emergency Management requires that jurisdictions update what's called the TDM 147. That's the form that appoints an emergency management coordinator and the assistant. And so every year what I have been doing is I've been filling that out, sending it to the cities and say, here, would you review this if this looks right? If you'll finalize it, I'll file it with the state. And we've been doing great on that kind of stuff here. So that's a good thing. On the NIMS training, National Incident Management Training. So there is, if you're a newly elected official, then you have to know that the state requires all elected officials to have a 4-hour class on the National Incident Management System. If you haven't had that, the good thing is I teach that class. So we can set a time where I can come in. If you need that class, we'll provide that. I would just like to ask that if we do that, if we can open it up and invite others to be able to come from outside of the city as well, because we can make it a little bit bigger of a thing. And I understand there's a whole quorum issue, so you have to make sure that y'all do the things on your end. I get it. We have to be real careful on that, but there is a way to identify that it's just training. It's not a public meeting. So we can do that. We can offer that to you, and it costs you this much. Well, maybe a handshake. Then lastly, I want to just mention about some collaboration. I mentioned and already talking about Chief Kohler and his folks, how great they are working with your city administrator and those kind of things. But I did ask a couple of people to attend tonight, and I just want to ask them to stand, and I want to explain to you what they do for us, for this city, and for this county. These two gentlemen right here, So Donald and Elwin are part of our volunteer program that we have with the county. When I came to the county almost 3 years ago, I met with our radio clubs. So what you have represented here is Elwin, so great guy there, prior military, right? You could tell by the way he stands. So Elwin is right now the person who is leading Aries. So that's your amateur radio folks. And he works closely with the Racies, which is another side of amateur radio. Donald is the president of another volunteer radio program. It's GMRS. So amateur radio operates on a VHF system. GMRS operates on a UHF system. Between the two clubs, we have two separate radio systems that blanket the entire county. Between those two clubs, we have over 100 volunteers. And they work with us all year long on all kinds of things, planned events. So when we have Tour de Castroville, the Aries amateur radio operators are there working that. When we have National Night Out, when we had the 4th of July, they're there. You know what, folks? You know what they cost you? That much. That much. High professional level people bring their own communications equipment, and under a volunteer program that we have at the county, which we call Medina County Overwatch, which is a combination of both of their programs and any other volunteers that want to work with us, we have a volunteer pool, and they get trained. Do you get trained on a little bit? Just a little bit. Every training that I offer in the county is open to them and anybody else. And I've put them through it because it's not just about communication. We have trained on shelter management. We have trained on damage assessment. They've been trained on first aid, CPR, AED, stop the bleed. They've been trained on Narcan. We had the health unit train them to be able to administer Narcan. It's not just about communication, and that's the one thing I want to stress to you. Anything we do, when I have real-world incidents, when we have large wildfires and things like that, I call them. Both of these groups have had people respond to real-world incidents with me in the field. So I want to highlight them because they do. They support things that happen right here in the city of Castroville. And I am so blessed to have these people that not only are they volunteers, but they're my friends. They are very much my friends now. And so I asked them to be here. If you wanted to ask them any questions, I'm sure they could answer for you.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
I'd like to say thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Great people. And another just aside about Donald, he is so eat up with all this. I've been running an internship program in emergency management for about 16 years. Donald has been working through the internship program, and he got so involved in that and engaged in that right now he's on the last stages of completing to become a certified Texas fire inspector.
Awesome. Congratulations.
So that's the kind of people that we get to interact with every day that come to help support us, support you. And, you know, with a handshake and a thank you, they do stuff all day long. And so that's what I wanted to just relate to you about collaboration.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
And after that, I would open up to any questions that you might have.
I got questions too.
You have a question?
Yes.
So go ahead.
I believe we support a repeater on Cross Hill, do we not, for the club? Okay, so the city is putting something into that. Years ago, we had a field exercise here that was at the school, at the high school with the athletic facility. And we had probably 50, 60, 70 people involved. We had cars going through. We did paperwork, administered things just to make sure that everybody understood how it had to work. And we had all the pieces and parts oiled. Are any of those kinds of activities being planned?
You know, it's interesting you should ask that because just yesterday in my office, Elwin and another gentleman who is very deeply involved in Aries and Races, we had a meeting where we were discussing an exercise that Elwin has been designing, and we're going to expand it a little bit to include some more things. But we do things like that all the time. And these two guys could tell you that over the last almost 3 years that I've been here, we've done some really big ones. So part of what you're talking about may be what's called the point of distribution or point of dispensing for the strategic national stockpile. That's where you had the exercises that were out at the high school. Is that right? Where they did the drive-through, where they simulated handing out medications. Yeah. So what we did is we expanded on being able to do that. A major one that we just did a year and a half ago, right about. We did it out at the Hondo Airport. And at some point, maybe we could discuss with the Castroville Airport of doing the same thing because airports offer a lot larger space where we can put through a lot more vehicles. And the problem with schools is that if school's in session, we're going to be limited on space. And you need space that you can move a lot of vehicles through at a quick volume if you're going to have to put medications into the hands of all residents. So we've done that in Hondo now, and maybe that's something we could expand over here. But yes, they are working right now on an exercise that's going to be held October 4th and 5th, the first weekend of October.
Are our communication systems in the city compatible with everything they need to be compatible with? Because I know we went to cell phones instead of UHF, VHF radios years ago to work within the Public Works Department. And at one time in the past, we had no ability to communicate with the EMS people and, from the police to the Public Works, EMS. And a lot of things have come down the pike since then. And so are you satisfied that all of those entities that we have that might need to work with you have the communication tools necessary?
Yes, sir. On the public safety side, in Medina County, we have an exceptional radio program. The next chief he's on that. Sergeant Knudsen is here as well. They're both on that system. We have what's called a simulcast system. It's a VHF simulcast system. The good thing about a simulcast system is if one of our towers goes down, the rest of it will continue to operate and nobody will lose connectivity. Now, the judge, about a year ago, obtained a grant through Congressman Gonzalez, specifically for Medina County, where we're going to do some massive upgrades on our communication system. But right now, we can communicate with all law enforcement, fire, EMS in the county on our system that we have. And thanks to these two gentlemen, you're talking about like Public Works. If we had a major event or incident where we needed to get a lot of Public Works out there in the field and we want to have communication with them, I'll tell you what we can do because we've even practiced this during the Christmas in God's country. We can take one of the radio operators and embed them with your Public Works crew in a vehicle. We answer that question right there. What we want to look for is options. I don't like to have a single plan because that's a single point of failure. So we want to have lots of options. We even have a system that they put in place that it'd be too much to try and go into tonight. I'll just tell you this. Through a device that they originally began building, and now we have some that are commercially purchased, we have the ability to send on our cell phones, not through a cell service, but through a Bluetooth connection, a text message that will go right now to over 400 different devices that spread all across Medina County and expanded into Bexar County, Wilson, and Donald was even all the way up in Austin one day and got one of those messages. So it's not just voice. We want to have lots of options.
Last question. And thank you very much for showing me your mesh tastic, and now I have purchased 4 of them. Control of the sirens, is it done
Yes.
through a hardwire or is it done by some other, is it a cell activation? And we used to have the ability to turn that on and off ourselves.
So, and
No longer have. So
have they
I'm
gotten you all the
curious,
access yet, Chief?
how are they
Okay.
activated?
So on our cell phones, and the chief has access now, there's an app that they use because we had an upgraded control system put into dispatch about a little over a year ago. As technology improves, understanding these sirens are 20 years old. So the ability to be able to connect to them, what we wanted to do is improve it. Before you had a single type of control system that everybody had to have that specific dedicated. Now, anybody who has a cell phone that has access, and mind you, we don't want everybody in the world having access. That's a problem because then you can't control who is setting these things off, right? So having officials, though, high-level officials who have access to do that is what we want. And so there's been some big improvements in that system. I'm pretty proud of where we're headed on that. But I can tell you, these things are getting old. They're getting old. And just so that you know, because I replaced one in Queehee that was struck by lightning 2 years ago, it cost me $36,000 for one. The city of Hondo right now has the only one in the county that is not functional, and it's because it got hit by lightning. Now, I got them a lightning certificate that they can process through TML, but it's still going to cost them a big chunk of change out of that $36,000 to $40,000 to replace that entire thing. This stuff is not cheap. So as these things age, we all have got to be thinking at some point that equipment's going to have to be replaced.
Okay. Ms. Martinez,
Oh, yes,
do you have some questions?
I do. My background, I'm a retired Air Force medic. I wrote the disaster plans. I'm a certified disaster preparedness planner and everything. Since I've been elected to here, I have been asking, and this is before Chief Kohler came on board, MOUs and MOAs. When
Right.
Snowmageddon happened, I was like, why don't we have an agreement with the high school? They had heating, they had power and everything. We had nothing. And we had assisted living homes that had no power, nothing. And
Okay,
so we need MOUs, MOAs established.
So assisted
As
living.
shelter.
Well, assisted living. So let me start there. First and foremost, you have to understand a nursing home, assisted living, senior adult facilities, all those
JACO's required to have
are
generators.
businesses that
Right.
are required by the Department of State Health Services in the state of Texas
Correct.
to have a generator and in place a plan to be able to evacuate and relocate their people.
Correct.
Since it's a business, we have to understand it's not that we as government wouldn't come in to assist them.
Right.
However, we cannot bail out businesses,
Right.
private businesses.
But we have
There's
personal
whole-
citizens,
there's-
though.
Right. So on the personal citizen side, that's where I say we can come in to assist. Here's the problem you get with buildings. And this is what a lot of people don't understand about. They say, do you have a generator we can use? I do. But if your building is not wired with what's commonly referred to as a pig, that generator is not going to do anything for you.
Yeah, I'm not
Because
looking
I
at
have
that.
to be able to plug that thing into your building.
Yeah.
On schools, I can tell you this, schools throughout Region 20, this comes after Katrina. Like I said, I've been doing this 40 years.
I worked Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, so Region 20 has advised schools throughout this region not to use as shelters. Here's why. Yes, Region 20 does not want their schools used as shelters. And I'll give you a couple of reasons why. One, Katrina ruined it because people went in and did so much damage that had to then be replaced.
Yeah.
Do you know how much a school floor gymnasium costs?
I do.
You cannot put cots on a gymnasium floor.
Right.
And it's the only room in a school that has enough space to put cots. It has shower facilities and places to go to the bathroom. So that's one reason schools don't. Another one is, have any of you visited a school in the last couple of years?
Yes.
You have to be raptured when you enter a school. What are you going to do when one of your residents gets raptured to enter into a shelter and they have a criminal history and you cannot by law put them in that shelter. So schools are not the answer. We do have a list, and I've got a list of facilities that the city of Castroville provided to me of facilities that can be utilized as shelters. You're always better off to use city facilities. Some things don't require 24-hour sheltering. So what are commonly referred to as heating and cooling centers, the best thing to do with those kind of people, I'll give you an answer. This morning, Miss Farley over at the library had my office come in and we assisted by doing an occupancy load for them. Just a real quick figure, how many people can fit in here? And it was on a request. When you have heating and cooling issues, people ought to go and take advantage during the hours of the day that are the most concerning, from about 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Take advantage of your public libraries. Go to other public facilities that are already open, already have people there, rather than opening a shelter. Now, we can open a shelter, and that's why I've trained these people and their volunteers to help us to do that if we need to. But my first push is send them to places that are already open, places that are already accepting the public, that we don't have to go in and create anything from the ground up. Like I say, schools, that's a no.
Okay.
That's a no just right off the top. They're just going to say no.
But you said the city of Castroville has places identified,
Yes, ma'am.
service shelters.
I don't have those with me, but I do have some for the city of Castroville.
This is the first I've heard of it, and I've been
Yeah.
on here for, what, 8 years?
If you don't have it, I'll give you my business card before I leave, and I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Well, it's key for us to know, because when Snowmageddon happened,
Yeah, I
there was
wasn't here then.
there was nothing.
Yeah, that was before me.
There was absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the hardware store open, going with flashlights, no heating, no power
Sure.
or anything.
Well, like I said, I wasn't here then.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but this is something officials need to know.
Sure.
That way, when all hell excuse my language, all hell breaks loose, we can say, all right, we need to start acting this shelter. Where are our cots maintained? Where's all of our supplies?
So we have a trailer that, in fact, what was it, last month? Yeah. Last month, we went and set up one of our trailers that right now I have established for being able to initially open a shelter. A lot of people think Red Cross.
No.
Red Cross is not the answer. They've lost a lot of volunteerism over the years. Their capacity is very limited.
Yes.
That's why I've trained these people on shelter management.
Okay.
We have a trailer that has cots, blankets, and comfort kits in it right now. I can go and I can open an initial with about 60 cots. I have another 100 cots that I can bring out of a Connex. That's quite a bit. But what we got to understand too about shelters, because we had a little issue the other night in Natalia, and they kind of got nervous and they wanted to open a shelter because they had power outage. Until you have public who's asking to be sheltered, you do not open a shelter.
Right.
Because it takes a couple hours to gin it up.
Yeah.
Imagine if I had called these folks and I'd said, hey, we need to open a shelter. We spend 2 hours to go set everything up, get it all in place. Nobody shows up. We spend another 2 hours of tearing it all down and going back. The loss of finances,
Yeah.
everything else. I mean, it just becomes, you don't want to cry wolf.
Yeah.
So when we need it, we got that ability and we can rock and roll right now.
And that's what I'm looking at, having the ability.
Yeah.
When the fire happened out towards the lake and people were evacuating here, we were looking for places to put them because they were coming here, and we didn't have anything.
Like I said, and I know, Mr. Mayor, you have my contact.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But anybody who needs this, Mr. Mayor, and if if I need to, I will make sure I get you that shelter locations list that I have right now.
Yeah, because
That'll work.
Yeah.
that'd be
Get the
helpful
stuff
to have. Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's just, like I said, my background. I've been asking these hard questions,
Yeah.
and
I wish I'd known that, because in the last 3 years, I could have answered them all.
You have it? Anything else?
no, that's it.
Yes. Bill?
I passed.
I pause.
You don't have, you don't have to buy into that.
No, sir.
Okay.
If you got a phone, it'll come.
Good. Because I remember getting the things related to the bomb thing. And then the other one, who's your backup?
Well, I was fortunate this year to be able to hire a deputy.
Okay.
So I do have a deputy, but you see this gentleman over here? Where I say that I train them on everything, I don't withhold anything. I want to make them an extension of what we do.
Right, so if you were out of town or on vacation and.
My deputy could get us started along with our great volunteers that we have. Yes, sir.
That answers my question, and I do appreciate everything you do. You're the
Yeah.
We don't know about you. That's great that the mayor invited you all to come here because it's great that we know these.
If I'm really doing my job right, you won't know it.
We don't know you.
We only know about you when you say you know, the bird band. We can't go bird high.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. If we could get it to rain again.
Yeah.
So,
Councilman Rivers?
I just wanted to say thank you for all that you do to keep us safe.
thank you.
Yep, Mark, thank y'all for everything, what y'all do. I was here when we put the sirens up, when we first started through the emergency management things, went through all the NIM stuff. I think that's awesome. I need to get to Scott and see if he can schedule a time for the council to set up a NIMS training for all of us and for anyone else interested. I think it would be great right here in this room. So got to work with that and coordinate with you on when it can happen. Sooner the better, because there's no time like the present to be trained on that stuff.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity. Y'all be safe.
Y'all too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Okay, we're going to move on real quick. The next item is item 11, Mayor's Report. We got three things I'm going to talk about really quick. The proposed FY26 budget, the proposed FY26 property tax rates, and proposed debt service city of Castroville bond rating. I'm going to read something and we'll go from there. This evening, before I start, I just want to tell Chief, thank you and your officers for the work y'all did this weekend, St. Louis Day. I appreciate it. The presence was awesome, and that's what it's all about. John, thanks to you guys for doing the streets down there and fixing them around the park. I think that was great too, and I really do appreciate the participation in doing that. I just wanted to get that all out. We're all on the same team, working for customer service, and those were great examples of it. Thank you all. All right, this evening the public will get an opportunity to share any comments they have on the upcoming FY26 city budgets. Your city council and staff have been working on these with the desire to meet the needs of the city while minimizing any increase in property taxes and utility rates to provide quality services to everyone within the city. As always, this is a major task for city council to determine and fund what the needs of the city are first, then come together to make informed decisions on capital improvements can be accomplished with any remaining funds. Please reach out to myself, or your respective city council members, as well as the city administrator, if you have any questions on the budget or the process the city is using to fund the operations of the city. Following my comments, we will move into the second public hearing on setting the property tax rate for the upcoming year. I encourage everyone to listen very closely to the information provided and ask questions of your elected officials and the city administrator if you don't fully understand how the proposed new tax rate may impact you. As I understand it, after a discussion last week with our financial advisors, the property tax rate is basically divided into two parts. One for operations and maintenance of the departments within the general fund, and the other part is to pay for debt service associated with capital improvements. In general, as debt is paid off and the valuation of the city increases as we continue to grow, the overall tax rate goes down. When this happens, the city either needs to issue more debt to increase the debt service portion of the combined tax rate back to where it was in order to maintain the same property tax rate the following year, or lower the overall combined rate. Maintaining the same rate each year is often actually a tax increase by increasing debt or increasing the operation and maintenance portion of the tax rate. Each year, the city is provided information from the county tax office on the current and projected maximum tax rates the city can use before voter approval is needed. When a city such as Castroville has a combined tax rate lower than the maximum they can adopt, any amount over the previous year's tax rate is, in my opinion, a tax rate increase. The final decision on what the tax rate will be rests with City Council, all the way up to the voter-approved rate, the rate requiring voter approval provided by the county tax office. Now, as far as the debt service, proposed debt service and the bond ratings, first I want to give some good news. The City of Castroville has been given an AA plus bond rating. This rating is a reflection of the financial policies and work done by the city. This rate enables the city to obtain bonds at a favorable rate with savings over the life of the bonds. Having said that, we have an agenda item later in this meeting for City Council to take action on a proposed ordinance to issue $7 million in new debt to be issued to construct a new water well and for other general fund projects that are included in a list of projects approved by City Council. To be clear, half of this new debt will be for utility system improvements identified for a new well and related water system improvements on the east side of Castroville that are required to meet the current and future needs of the city. The other half of the new debt, $3.5 million, will be paid for through the debt service requirements of the property tax rate. It is undetermined at this time exactly what these funds will be used for. There is, however, a list of projects that have been approved by council to choose from for the use of these funds at a future meeting. For the record, as the mayor, I firmly disagree with the issuance of any new debt at this time, especially debt where the use of the funds is not clearly identified in advance of issuing the debt. However, this is important. I have been recently reminded that the mayor does not have a vote in this matter or anything else that comes before City Council except for a tie breaker if there was a tie. The decision rests with City Council. Thank you. Now we're going to move to the public hearing. Number 2, presentation on the 2025 new no revenue voter approval diminished tax rate calculations. Leroy, you want to go from there?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, for that.
You need
What
to
time
open
we
it.
open it?
Oh, the public hearing. Let's open the public hearing at 7:20.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. So tonight's discussion will cover, this is our tax rate hearing number 2. It's going to cover exemptions, taxable values, current and proposed rates, and upcoming
I
steps.
don't think that's on. It doesn't show. Is it on? I didn't think so. I'll show. The TV doesn't show.
You shut it off.
Now you turn the boat off.
We got news on.
Let me show it to them. Is that okay? So I have a copy.
That's fine.
Oh, you're showing a commercial over there now. Seriously. It's a. It's much more interesting, I guess.
I think you have to get close to it.
Yeah,
That's what
Scott
does.
normally has to stand under it.
And that way he only does each key.
There we go. We got this side on.
And we still have on.
He's got the TV part on the other side.
Sir,
Thank you for that, but I'm glad we got them on, but it's, we're unable to read pretty diets.
sir.
Brianna to the rescue.
Well, that's all right. We got the presentation.
Oh, where that music comes from.
Let's see when the-
The gremlins are back.
Oh, she's got-
That's off. No, we're still off.
You may have to get in front of it. There it goes.
Okay. There's that.
It's trying. There it goes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Brianna. Appreciate it.
That's right.
All right, so this slide here, we're going to talk about just the different type of homestead exemptions. You got homestead, you got over 65 and disabled, You got disabled veterans, and of course you got surviving spouse and so forth. I'm not going to go into too much detail. This is our second tax rate, and we do have other public hearings to move forward with, so I'm going to continue. The next one is, you know, this doesn't work. Okay, well, not sure, Brianna. What'd you do? Oh, here it goes. Okay, so this is the partial exemption totals for the city of Castroville. So right now we have the over 65 exemption. There's a freeze, and of course, as well as the disabled persons of $10,000. And then below that, you see the other cities, surrounding cities in Medina County that have those exemptions as well. This next slide shows the 2024 partial exemptions. It's divided by DV1, DV2, and so forth. And it just kind of talks about the actual rating and the amount that they're exempt up to. So this next slide talks about the average taxable home value in Castroville. And as you can see, from 2023 to 2024, it has increased. And so our average taxable value is at right at $300,000. So. The next slide shows our 2024 tax rate. So our current rate is at 0.5233. It's broken out by the M&O and INS. And so M&O is at 0.3487. As Mayor mentioned, this is to pay the day-to-day operations, such as salary, supplies, and contracted services, and so forth. And of course, the INS of 0.1746, which is used to pay off debt. So right now we're at 0.5233. The cost is higher, is at 0.58, and Lidl is at 0.3983.
And Divine is at 0.59.
Mm-hmm. Lacoste, of course, doesn't have any debt.
Yeah.
So this next slide is just a city of Castroville tax rate history for the past, at least the past 4 years since 2021. We've been at 0.5233. Prior to that, in 2020, we were at 0.4951. And so I believe this is our last year for the 5 year that we're going to recommend staying at the 0.5233. And so we'll discuss that a little bit further on in the presentation. This next slide shows the no new revenue tax rate, which is it was called the effective tax rate at one point in time, followed by the voter approval tax rate, which was the old rollback rate, and of course the de minimis rate. And so this is the calculation for each one of those as we speak now. So.
And the de minimis rate is just a weird rate that we're required to calculate that raises another $500,000.
Correct. Yes, sir. The next slide shows the proposed tax rate, and we're going to give several options. You know, we have our current rate, as I said, of 0.523, followed by there's a proposed tax rate for a minimum. And of course, there's a maximum, which is a voter approval rate of 0.592. So remember that number, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. So here are the options. So as Mayor mentioned earlier, there's some new debt that's going to be possibly cut. Y'all are going to be approving this evening of $3.5 million on the general fund side, and of course, you got three different options here. The option one would show leaving the same tax rate of 0.5233, and that's by issuing that new debt, and that's not increasing the tax rate. That's keeping it the same. What we'll do is we'll increase the INS side to 0.1900, and then we would lower that M&O side by 0.3333, keeping that same tax rate of 0.5233. By doing that, we'll go ahead and meet all the debt obligations as far as paying those bonds twice a year. And so that is option number one. You got option number two is the no new revenue tax rate of 0.5286, and that you see that breakdown there. And then, of course, you got that voter approval rate of 0.6503. So these are the three options that we currently have. And that there's another agenda item coming up that you're going to have to approve on a proposed tax rate. You're not approving the actual rate. That won't happen until September. But there's a document that the tax office has to that will put out on our behalf as far as all the tax rate calculations. And we have to indicate what the proposed tax rate is. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, Leroy, let's just give them the overview, so the public hearing, and then we can get into the details with the council when we get that agenda.
Yes, sir.
But this is for the public hearing.
Right.
Overview for the public.
Okay. The next rate is how to calculate your tax rate. So in this case, it's simple. You got your taxable value times your tax rate divided by 100, and that's going to give you your actual property taxes that are due to the tax office. Now, of course, this doesn't include any exemptions anybody has, so this is straight as if you have no exemptions. So this was from our last public hearing, the last meeting. So this option one, remember we talked about the average home value of $300,000. So you take that times a 0.5233. And of course, this is without any exemptions. And then you got your total rate that's due to the tax office is $1,572. This is only the city taxes. This has nothing to do with the school taxes or the county taxes. This is all city of Castroville. And then if we go out and issue that new debt that we had discussed, it's the same tax rate, same average home value. So you get that same amount of taxes due of $1,572. If you go with the VAR, which is a voter approval rate, which is a higher rate, but that's the max rate that we could set without going for voter approval, it's at 0.5982, and then of course those taxes due would be $1,797.
Okay.
So, and that's pretty much it. The next item would be, of course, the upcoming dates that are coming up. But
Right, okay. Well, now I would ask, is there any member of the public who would like to speak at the public hearing on this tax rate? On anything to do with the tax rates? Hearing none, we're going to go ahead and close this public hearing at 7:28. And then we're going to open the next public hearing at 7:28 on, it's public hearing number one, and presentation of the FY 26, the budget. So Leroy, if you go an overview of that for anybody in the public who would like to make comment on that.
yes, sir. Thank you. So this is our first budget hearing, number one. And so tonight we're going to focus on the proposed revenues as well as the expenditures for fiscal year 2026. We'll cover the general fund, the enterprise fund, as well as the airport fund. So we're going to go over general fund revenues
May
first.
I ask you one question before you go any further?
Sure.
Are these documents on our website available for public review?
Not on our website, but we certainly can. So tomorrow I can post the two public hearing documents up on our website under the financial documents.
I think that would be beneficial, just to make it out there, especially for the public hearing purposes.
Yes, sir.
We're not finalizing until after we do this, but for the public hearing purposes, so people can get an idea for what we're doing.
Yes, sir. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So this slide here shows the proposed revenues. We have our revenues are broken out by sales tax, property taxes, municipal court, parks and rec, and of course other revenue. So as of right now, our year ending in 2024, we ended at 5.198. That was our last audit. What was currently approved by council this year, when we started this time last year, was at 4.7 million. And so our proposed revenue that we're proposing is at 5.485.
So that's supposed to be 26, not 25 for proposed?
Yes, I just saw that. Yes.
There's numerous ones throughout the presentation.
We'll get those corrected. Thank you. So it's broken out by sales tax, property tax, as I mentioned. And then, of course, those transfers in. So I'm going to continue. Again, these are proposed revenues.
He did too.
This slide here shows just the different general fund revenues. Again, as I mentioned, the actual, the approved, and of course the proposed. It's just in a different chart. These are the bar graphs now. So that's what you see here. And then followed by the pie chart highlights the importance of each revenue source and their contributions to the overall financial health of the general fund. And so I broke it down by property taxes, court, parks and recs, and so forth. And this also includes the transfers in. You got it for the fiscal year ending 2024, the approved 2025, and of course the proposed 2026.
Please change the title because you got 23, 24, and 25.
Thank you. I will. Thank you. The next slide here shows the general fund revenues just out by a different way. This you have your actuals, you got your approved, and of course your proposed again, and it includes the transfers in for each of those years. So these are all the general fund revenues. Now we're going to go over the general fund expenditures for 2026, and so you have your again actual. And this is going to it's broken out by each department on the general fund side. So you have your actual for 2024, the approved for 2025, and of course our proposed. And then you're going to see the difference if there's the percentage increase or decrease for each line item, as well as the amount. And so anything that you see in red, it's obviously a decrease. Anything you see in black, it's a positive number. So
Sir,
Is it okay to ask questions on this slide?
well, we can, but what I was trying to do is get the information out for the public hearing. Then we're going to have an item later on to discuss it. The only thing I want to make a point, and maybe for the public hearing purposes, the general fund, as you're presenting here, it's not in its final form, but it's
correct.
proposed to be a balanced budget.
Correct. Yes, sir.
The general fund is with the current tax rate.
That's correct.
I just wanted to point that out for the public.
Thank you, Mayor. If you like, I can certainly go over each line item.
I don't
Just
think so. I
continue
think we want to
overall.
do a broad stroke, and then
Okay.
if someone has some questions
Sure.
during that, we can go from there. I would anticipate, once you post it out there, we may have some more at the next public hearing, but
Yes, sir.
they have the opportunity to do that.
Okay. In a nutshell, the proposed expenditures is at $5.4 million. And so there's a slide that I'm going to be showing next that has the revenues and expenditures together, and you'll see if there's it's a balanced budget. So let's go over that slide next. So you got your proposed revenues followed by your proposed expenditures. And so the proposed revenues has some transfers in, and of course, there's no transfers out. So you take your revenues minus your expenditures, whatever that number is, it's a net effect or a decrease or increase. In this case, you have a net position of about $76,000, meaning we have a balanced budget. We're going to have about $76,000 in excess revenue because we have more revenues than expenditures.
But it's important that we also included in there street maintenance
Sure.
and street maintenance. If we don't have increased revenues from taxes, then we'll pull from reserves for a street maintenance crew,
Yes, sir.
more than we've had
Thank you for
before.
bringing that up. Yes, sir.
That's an improvement.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of the major changes to the proposed budget, you got, again, it's broken out by salaries, supplies and materials, contracted services, and so forth. And so the approved was at, for our current budget was at 4.7 million. Our proposed is 5.4. So there's a difference of about $656,000, which is an increase overall. And that includes a 3% cost of living for all employees. This is on the general fund side.
Right.
It includes increase in maintenance and repairs, increase in contracted services, and so forth. So,
Okay.
the next slide is going to be the enterprise fund, which is the utility fund. I'm going to talk about the revenues. And so it's broken out by the utility sales, utility services, and of course, other revenue. We ended up at our last audit of 2024 at 7.9 million in revenues. And I'll talk about the expenditures in a few minutes. The approved budget for this year is at 8.7, and that includes the use of fund balance of $376,000. And of course, I put a year to date as far as where we're at, and this is at the end of 7/31, at the end of July. We're at 6.9 million, so we're almost there, meeting the budget. And so I don't anticipate using the use of fund balance, even though we use it to balance the budget. But as far as revenues coming in, I think we're going to be good to go.
Good.
And of course, our proposed budget that we're proposing is 9.3 million in expenditure. I'm sorry, revenues. So those are the revenues. Now let's talk about the expenditures. So we have it's broken out by the utility admin, which, remember, we moved this year, or coming up for the proposed year, we're moving that budget over to the gas department, sewer, electric, water, and refuse. And so that's why for the proposed 2026, it's blank. You don't see anything there because it's already embedded into the other line items. And so for expenditures, we're proposing 9.3 million in proposed revenues, which includes an increase in the gas department, which we'll talk about. Sewer, there's a slight increase as well as in electric and water and refuse. So the next slide shows a 5-year historical budget for the enterprise fund. The last 4 years, of course, that's kind of where we ended at with the budget. And of course, the approved and the proposed. So this next slide are the transfers out. And so we have a transfer that comes out of the enterprise fund. It goes into the general fund, and it's broken out by the right-of-way maintenance of $170,000, and of course our franchise fee of $451,000 for total transfers of $621,000 that goes into the general fund.
Sir.
Okay. And this is just an enterprise fund summary. You got your revenues of 9.314. And of course, your proposed expenditures of 9.314. So it does show a balanced budget that we're proposing. The next slide is the airport fund. So we have the proposed revenues, and of course, we'll talk about the expenditures. So our actual that we ended up last year is at 1.1 million. We approve currently for revenues is a little over $800,000. And our proposed for next year is $819,000, and it's broken out by facility rentals, fuel sales, and of course other revenue. Our expenditures, we ended at year 2024. We ended at $698,000, and that includes, of course, their debt payment that they have of about $31,000. They have an approved budget of $762,000. And that includes that debt payment of about $45,000, and of course, our proposed budget for this coming year is at $854,000. And just the actual summary, you got your revenue versus your expenditures. So in this particular case, there's a net position. It's a negative amount, but this amount I know we're going to discuss, Mayor, in the next.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
Things.
Yes. So that's why you see a negative number, but this is just a placeholder. And again, we'll talk about that and why that amount looks like that, and we'll go from there. So that concludes the budget hearing number 1 for general fund, enterprise fund, and airport fund.
Okay, we'll open it up to any public comments. Hearing none. We're going to close this public hearing at 7:39. Okay? Thank you, Leroy.
Yes, sir.
And item number 13, discussion and action items. We're going to go to item E first because we have our professional folks here that are going to give this presentation on the consideration and approval of an ordinance authorizing the city's combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2025, in a maximum amount of $7 million for the purposes set forth in the city's notice of intention, payable from the proceeds of an annual ad valorem tax levied within the limitations prescribed by law upon all taxable property in the city, and a pledge of certain revenues of the city's combined utility system and other matters in connection therewith. Laura, you want to?
Yes, hi. Andrew Freeman from Samco, which is our financial advisor, is here to discuss the bond sale and the rating or the results from today. So, Andrew, you have the floor.
I understand you sold the bonds, or excuse me, you have a bid for the sale of the bonds today.
Correct. We priced them earlier today. Mr. Mayor, Council, Andrew Freeman, Samco Capital Markets. I handed out before the meeting started a short packet of information. Wanted to start off by, and you all saw this when my partner Mark McCliney was here for the notice of intention meeting back in June. This is the timeline of events that we followed. You all took action back at your meeting on June 24th to authorize a notice of intention resolution where you alerted folks that the city was intending to potentially borrow money and setting a date that you would entertain bids and formally obligate the city, which we have arrived at tonight. So between that time and tonight, put together an offering document outlining the parameters of the sale, highlighting financial information of the city, went and visited with Standard & Poor's rating company to get our credit rating evaluated and updated for this sale. They affirmed our AA+ credit rating. We've got a very high investment grade credit rating, which helps us, and the mayor said this earlier, helps us to get the best borrowing rate possible in the market. With that in hand, we received bids from all interested investment banks earlier today. That's page 2 of this handout. These are all of the bids that we received. We went through a competitive bidding process where we put that offering document out to the street a week ago. and are entertaining and would advise you to proceed with the best bid, meaning the lowest interest rate received on this 20-year financing. Received a best bid from BOK Financial Services, an investment bank out of Oklahoma that does a tremendous amount of business in Texas, at a TIC, which stands for the true interest cost, which is roughly the average interest rate for this 20-year fixed rate financing of 3.9%. A couple of things I want to highlight. We have 11 bids here. It's been since 2021 when interest rates were very, very low, where we had this many banks interested at one time. So it tells us, one, we're a very high quality name in the market with a AA plus credit rating, and that two, banks are jumping over each other to try to get bonds in this market. So that helps us to get the lowest interest rates possible. So that 3.9% looks really good. If you compare that to the other bids received, the second place bid, 3.97%. So that's 7 basis points better. If you went to, not to pick on the group that submitted the worst bid, but at 4.37%, that's 47 basis points worse than what we're looking to lock in this evening. So all of that to say, very, very pleased with the results of this bid process and sale. Again, that interest rate 3.9%, to give you some context, we try to be conservative when we're in the planning process of this. We're trying to manage and get through the budget and the tax rate. We ran interest rates at 4.5%, not knowing a couple of months ago where interest rates would be today. So you all are the beneficiary of good timing, not because we're so expert at this, but just because the bond market's been in a rally here as of the last couple of weeks, and the city's been benefiting by that this evening.
What's the word reoffering? Why is that there?
The reoffering. So the way an underwriting works, an investment bank is going to buy this. They're going to underwrite it. They're going to then, they don't hold on to those bonds for very long. They're going to then offer them to their customers, whether that's insurance companies, could be individual investors. For most or all of us who have retirement accounts, whether you know it or not, you hold municipal bonds within that portfolio. So that's the reoffering price, what they'll be offered to their
But our debt is to them, to them, and then they figure that out to others, or do we?
They will, yeah. There's another party involved, a paying agent registrar. When the bonds are broken up into $5,000 increments, so that $7 million breaks into $5,000 chunks that are sold to those individual investors. When you all make your annual debt service payment, it goes to that paying agent. They're then responsible for making sure the appropriate amount of money gets to all of those various folks.
We don't have to chase down each one.
No, you do not.
Thank you.
And that's how all of your existing
Hey,
debt
just wanted to
works
ask.
also.
Good question.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to go into explicit detail on the numbers that follow, but I'm happy to go back and answer any questions that you have. It's just a lot of numbers on the page. But starting at that table, the page right after the bid results, the sources and uses of funds, the bid before you is to sell $6,920,000 in par amount of certificates of obligation. BOKF, that winning purchaser, is going to pay us a net premium of $278,000, and they'll pay us for the accrued interest from the dated date of the bonds to the delivery date of the bonds, September 17th. That's going to put $7 million into the city's construction fund. The remaining proceeds from that premium paid by the purchaser is going to pay for the cost of issuance and the underwriter's discount, which is the amount that BOKF will pay their salespeople who were calling their customers that were interested in purchasing these obligations. Behind that is the bond pricing page. You'll see that these mature from August 1st, 2027 through August 1st, 2045. That's a 20-year amortization. The yields on those 20 maturities range from 2.55% to 4.25%. And again, that equates to a 3.9% average interest rate on this financing. These will be callable in 9 years, August 2034, meaning that if interest rates are lower in 9 years than they are today, we can refinance them much like you would your home mortgage to save money on our payments. Or if for whatever reason we have a cash windfall and we want to pay off our debt early, we'll be able to do so at that time without any penalty. And then the pages that follow are simply the semi-annual debt service payment. We make our annual payments. We make payments semi-annually. Principal is made once a year. The interest payments are made February 1st and August 1st of each year. And then lastly, the bond summary statistics page shows a number of different metrics, but I would just point you to the true interest cost. Again, on these final numbers, 3.9% and change. With your approval this evening, you would be awarding the sale of these obligations to BOKF, and you would be establishing a closing date of September 17th, when BOKF would send the city the proceeds of this financing to your bank account. Again, the city would receive $7 million to be spent toward the projects. As you all already discussed, $3.5 million for utility projects, $3.5 million for general fund projects. So with that, happy to answer any questions that you have. And you have your bond attorneys here, Lauren Ferrero and RJ Ruiz, with McCall Parkhurst, who can answer any of the legalese questions.
I have one question really quick. I'm looking on this bond. So the annual debt service for this is roughly $535,000?
Yes, sir.
The annual combined debt service for this issuance?
Yes, sir. Principal plus interest.
Okay. And how the city divides that up is the city's business. It's just as long as they get paid for this amount.
Correct. We have internal schedules that we'll be writing to Leroy and to Scott that will break out that debt service further into the general funds portion and the utility funds portion, just as your existing debt is broken.
But the total debt payment is $530 something a year.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You want to go, Councilman Nurse? Councilman March.
You go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'm good.
You have any questions? Okay.
I can talk.
Yes, sir. You have any questions?
Having that much trouble finding someone.
Well, if you have any questions, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
No, I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, he just said he wants to make a motion. Let's go.
I'll make a motion. That way if you have a question, you have to make a motion. I make a motion to approve.
I move to approve the city's certificate of obligation ordinance.
It's right there. Yeah, just right there.
That little sentence.
I make a move to approve the city's certificate of obligation ordinance.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second to approve the city's certificate of obligation ordinance. One we have, which is the $7 million in debt. Okay, now we're going to go to discussion. Would you like to have a discussion on that? Anybody have anything they want to say?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy.
So 3.5 of this is to get started on the water tower project.
It's the water well.
Sorry,
The well.
water well.
Yes.
The water well, which will eventually pump water into the water tower.
Excellent.
Not
Yeah.
paying for any part of the water tower. Correct.
Right, correct.
Okay.
It'll cover the well and maybe some other improvements, but not the tower.
And then the $3.5 million in the general fund side would be going towards the specific list of potential improvements we had highlighted in a previous meeting, which included things like city hall renovations and expansion, library renovations and expansion,
ED,
or a new police department headquarters. Sorry?
drainage.
I don't think roads was on the list.
It is.
Oh, it is?
It
Okay.
is. It is.
It's whatever.
It's in the ordinance.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So there's a specific list of things council agreed on as potential applications of this money, and council, were we to issue the debt, would pick amongst those things in the future.
That is correct.
I think that this is a sensible investment in the both for the future citizens of Castroville, like our kids, our grandkids, for the people who live here currently, and in our existing structures that we all rely on for city services. So I support this.
Okay. Anyone else have a comment? Yes, Councilman Lee?
I was wanting to hear what you had to say, but in 10 years or less, the city will be 3 times the size it is now. We wouldn't even be discussing this had we not identified a number of areas that needed attention, not wanted attention, but needed attention. And even though we haven't specifically hammered out exactly which ones get funded, the presentation that I'm hearing, based upon the financial conditions in the country recently and possibly looking a bit into the future, This appears to be an attractive office. Am I seeing your head shake up and down?
Yes, sir.
And so I don't want to get behind the power curve on things that we should have known based upon the information we had, the things that we needed to accomplish, that we didn't do it because we were too hesitant thinking about all the what ifs when we don't have anything concrete to go on to say, this is a bad idea right now. And so in order not to get behind the power curve and be able to support the ever-expanding Castroville, which I don't hear to have happen, but it will, we need to do something. We need to do something. So we went out for this particular bond consideration in order to do it. I certainly don't think it's enough, but everything that this council and the previous councils have determined was important is now rolled up in what's presented before us. And I think we need to do something instead of kicking the broken down buildings and inadequate facilities down the road to who knows what is going to happen in the future. And so if we have the wherewithal to fund this payment every year, and you're going to hear me suggest we do raise the taxes, I would say that we need to proceed with this.
Anybody else have a question, comment? Okay. I just want to reiterate, the $3.5 million debt replaces debt we've already paid off in the tax rate. My opposition is that it's not specific to a project. A list is up for discussion. If it was a specific item, maybe I'd have a different opinion. Anyway, we have a motion to approve.
Now I gotta say something.
Yes,
Our list of what we need money for far exceeds the 3.5 million. So we're gonna have to scale it back to stay within that 3.5 million. We have needs. I agree with Councilman Lee that we have needs that far exceed the 3.5 million. So I think it would be prudent to go through this.
I have no problem. I agree with you that we have needs. But I've also, just like the other ones here, talked to other people, at least 3 previous school board presidents that just find it really confusing that the city's issuing debt without a specific purpose. But that's y'all's decision. We have a motion on the floor to approve the city's certificate of obligation ordinance. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have to have, no, okay, any opposition? No, okay, that's done, right? Okay. That's not a roll call. That's not taxes.
No, that's the tax
Proposed.
stuff.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry you guys just got to sit there and no questions for you, but
They know that that's a good outcome.
yeah, well, you've answered all of our questions in the
Yeah.
past, so we appreciate it.
If I could probably
Stuff that we have to do.
get a signature for BOKF.
What if I don't sign it?
And the pro temp can be-
No. I've got 4 days to sign it. What if I don't sign it?
No, that's not.
No.
But I am glad our lawyer's here.
We
Let me have it. Council will take it.
Saying, does he have to sign it?
Is that a resolution you're talking about?
No, it's so that BOKF
It's not the
can,
resolution.
we can hold them to their bid.
And by the way, I do appreciate you and the professional service.
This holds him to a bid?
Both y'all do,
I'm so sorry.
because we're very comfortable.
I'm not going to
with the advice
fight the
you
city
give us.
council decision. It's a city council decision to move forward.
This is not the resolution that I have on my desk.
No,
So that's what I'm saying. He may have dropped that. That's what he was saying.
Okay,
There's a difference.
there's a difference.
It can't. Resolutions and ordinances, if they don't sign it, they go into effect anyway.
After a certain time. But it doesn't have to happen immediately.
Lady that talked during citizens' comment.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, we'll go back to item A, discussion possible action on finance report, general enterprise airport funds and municipal court report for July 25. As I talked to Leroy, this is kind of my error. My understanding is, yes, we should do this on a quarterly basis.
Mhm.
I seen this in a list of things. I pulled it out and said, make an agenda item. So I talked to Leroy this morning. If you can just give us a real quick overview, because we normally would do this in a quarterly fashion.
Sure. This is the monthly finance report for ending July 31st of 2025. It's for the general fund, the enterprise fund, airport fund, and a brief municipal court report fund, or not fund, but a report. So right quick, for ending July 2025, we are at, oh God, I can't see this. Sales tax collected for July is $163,000, which is a little lower in July of 2024. Property taxes that were collected in July were down from last July. And of course, our court fees collected in July are more than doubled compared to last July. So we're doing fairly well on each of these categories, especially obviously the court fees. So this next slide just shows the comparison of annual collections for the month of July. There's starting from July 15 all the way to July 2025. So next slide just shows property tax collections as far as where we're at on the debt service side. So I'm going to go on if you have any other questions. The general fund department, this is a breakdown by department, and you'll notice that there's some funds that are over, but there's some explanation, and I'm going to go over those right quick. The court expenditures are over budget due to staffing. We hired an additional person in there. Of course, now we moved to court twice a month, which it doubled the fee for the judge and for the prosecutor. And so even though we are over on that side, but it's offset by the revenues that we've collected on the revenue side. Yes, sir.
Did that require a budget amendment since it went over what was projected?
It'll be part of the, I'll bring the final budget amendment at the end of September, and that's when I'll include that one in there.
I did have a question on that page about what non-departmental was whenever you get to that point.
Okay. The next one is the community development is also over, but that's from the inspections and plan review costs, but it's a pass-through on the revenue side. So even though she's over on that end, more than made on the revenue side. So we're not worried about that. Same thing with Parks and Rec is over budget, and that's mainly due to the community center park expenses. And that non-departmental, that includes our copier lease payments, our TML insurance, our AdCom, our ADP, those type of fees that don't really belong anywhere else, but they just are classified under non-departmental. And so that's what that is there. The next slide is the utility fund. And so utility fund revenues as of the end of July sitting at 6.96 million collected versus in July of last year it was 6.34 million. So that was like a 9%, almost 10% increase compared to last year to this year. The utility collections went down from last July compared to this July. And so right now they're sitting at, as I mentioned, their overall is at 6.96 million at the end of July. So we still have 2 months left of revenues to post. So this is just a different graph showing the utility fund revenues. This next slide shows the expenditures by department. You got the utility admin, the gas, sewer, electric, and so forth. So as you can see, the gas department is over, but that we need that kind of going in. We're trying to build up that department. We hired a new a person, Javier, and of course that department is there's a lot of needs in that department, and so hopefully we can get to what he needs and to make that department successful.
I have a question on the last slide, if that's okay.
Sure.
Sorry, another slide back. We've collected 80% of the budget after 10 out of 12 months. Would we consider that to be on track or
so
a little bit behind? I imagine that August and September probably see a ton of water and a ton of electricity.
Usually in July, August, September, you're going to see your highest revenues posted there for electric, especially in water. Right now, we are already past the third quarter, so we should be at 75% or higher. And so we're at 80%. So we're kind of where we should be when you compare to last year. So,
all right, thank you.
Yes, sir. The next one is the airport fund. This is again ending July. So right now, what airport collected for the month of July was about almost $61,000, which is slightly below July of last year, which is about 3% collected was more last year compared to this year. Their year-to-date revenues is about $930,000, so they're doing fairly well as far as on their revenues, and so their rentals are where they should be, followed by the fuel sales and of course other services. Their expenditures. So this slide shows just budget versus actual for expenditures. So what you see in blue is what's budgeted. Obviously, it's in orange is the year-to-date, and of course, there's a forecast column in there as well. The next slide is just a court report. It just shows kind of where we're at for the month of July. They've collected, well, I mean, you can see the increase from 158 in July of last year to 307 of this year. So it's, a lot of them are due to those traffic violations. This month or in July, there was 307 cases in July. That more than tripled in 2023. And then, of course, followed by the state law violations, the city ordinance, and of course, parking violations. But the biggest one every month is the traffic violations. So, and that just concludes my financial report for July.
Thank you, Leroy.
Yes,
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Leroy, how much of that percentage-wise, just rough numbers, goes to the state for the violations?
Not quite 50, probably about anywhere from like 40 to 45% is what goes to the state, and then we keep the rest. So before the first thing goes out is the state portion, and then whatever's left is what we use. So
to offset our cost of doing it.
Yes, sir.
Most of the increase in port violations is traffic stops on 90, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And that's because we have a grant right now that's helping fund extra police activity on
Or overtime. The Stone Garden grant. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yep.
Any other questions?
No.
Sheena?
No.
No? Okay, well, thank you, Leroy. Appreciate the
Yes, sir.
report. Okay, let's move on to item B, which is discussion and possible action on the FY26 city operating budget, including all budget proposals, general fund, utility system, airport enterprise, and steps to dissolve the Castroville Economic Development Corporation. I also want to include for discussion under this is item G, which is discussion and possible action to adjust the FY26 airport fund and general fund budgets to allocate airport security costs in accordance with city ordinance, chapter 18, section 18-73. That particular agenda item was really not supposed to be listed, but it was by mistake because it was supposed to be rolled into this other one for budget ones.
Can I ask a question? Is there anybody here to talk to us about the gas utility rate?
That we're gonna ask that be tabled.
Oh, okay.
Because we're not ready for that.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know if anybody was.
No, sir. On the budget stuff, I'm going to ask the city council. I know there's a lot of things to discuss on this, and we could talk probably all night long. But the plan is, or the goal is, to try to pass a budget at the next meeting. That's the goal. So I don't know what y'all's schedule would be, but I would ask if we could have another one of these Friday afternoon workshops on Friday, September 5th, and literally work together to finalize a draft budget. If we can do that between like 1 and 5 or 1 and 4, if I had enough people to make a quorum then, on Friday the 5th.
I'm out. I'm flying back from Boston.
You're out, so that means we're almost down to not doing it.
And I will be unable between the hours of 9 and 3.
9 to 3, okay. Can we?
I'm
can we-
available, but are we gonna,
Okay.
we won't have a quorum though, will we?
No, I don't know about you, Bob, but I could push it to 3, but I don't know if you would be available on Friday the 5th. Or Sheena, I don't know if you would. No, can't do it?
No.
Is there any way another day, next week, Thursday, or, I know you can't work those types things, or Wednesday, some other, or even
If we want to start
Saturday the
at
6th,
5 or 6 in the evening, I can do that.
I'm trying for us. I know there's a lot of questions. We're still not there where we should be. And even tonight, I know there's more questions because some of the things that that I have injected in there, I'd really like to somehow us, in the interest of time, because once we start on this, it could start rolling. So, because there's a lot to uncover.
For instance, I'm available next week. And like David said, if we did it at 5 o'clock, I'm available on
What
Wednesday,
day did y'all
Thursday.
say? I'm sorry, Thursday?
Thursday or 4th.
I have to really watch the postings now because the new law has went into effect by this time. So
I know.
I'll have to post
If we did a Tuesday, you have to post tomorrow.
exactly.
So,
One week out.
And so
Yeah.
then, and y'all have a good time.
the 3rd or the 4th,
I'll have
are you available any time at all in the evening like that, Sheena or Houston?
Yep.
I get back.
You're out of town all next week.
Yeah, I leave on Tuesday, back on Friday.
Would you be available one evening?
The 4th I can do 5.
Can you do the 3rd? The 4th is Wednesday, the 4th.
No,
The 4th is Thursday.
4th, no, we can't do Thursday. Bob
Okay.
won't do Thursday. Can you do Wednesday the 3rd?
Yes, I can. At 5.
Can you do Wednesday the 3rd? Can you do Wednesday the 3rd?
I can try.
Okay, and let's shoot for Wednesday the 3rd for a budget.
Well, if Bob can't be there, we can't have a meeting.
Well, we're going to post it. And he's going to do the best he can. He's going to do the best he can.
Okay.
We're going to make him recover over Labor Day.
So 3rd
5
at
o'clock.
5.
Beginning at 5 o'clock.
He had said
Wednesday.
5 o'clock.
I can
Wednesday
here
Wednesday, September 3rd.
Okay.
Heck of a birthday
This is
present.
a budget discussion. is what
Yes,
you're
it's for all the budgets. It's so we can, the intent or the goal is for us to finalize a draft budget. The goal. Now, with trying to keep time involved, we'll talk about a couple things. I want to bring up the airport one really quick because I told Scott to make that change. Bearing in mind, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, and it kind of seems like I did this at the 11th hour. And yeah, I kind of did because by ordinance, the mayor sets the budget and then the council gets to approve it and beat it all up. So I asked Scott to put this in. Something that I've been asked by people as discussions based on the last council meeting, as discussions turned into appraisals and assessments and airport getting more money from things. There's also been questions raised to me, well, then the airport fund needs to start paying for more things then. And I just looked really quick onto one ordinance because actually this was brought up 25 years ago, but ignored when the same discussions came about the airport fund is not getting compensated correctly. So wait a minute, but there's services provided to the airport's not paying for. Well, the ordinance specifically names the chief of police as the head of airport security. The ordinance says the police department is responsible for security of the airport. I don't know, airports in general require security. Whether you have a locked gate or cameras or not, you're still required to have security. So it's really not hard to say, in my opinion, when I asked Scott, what is the portion percentage-wise of the airport fund budget in relationship to all the budgets of the city? And the airport budget is equal to about 5% of the general fund, the enterprise fund, and the airport fund all come together. So very simple math says if it's 5%, then the airport fund is responsible for 5% of the police department, since the police department's the security there. Now, I stopped at the police department, but I could easily go to finance, the city council, and to administration. And that would raise that number to $106,000. And those could easily be justified because it's a percentage of the overall city budget. Now, some people don't like that, and I'm willing to discuss with council. Council gets to make the decision, and I would think that council, in considering, may want to consider maybe some in-kind services in exchange for dollars. But to be fair with all the budgets, all the departments, the airport fund needs to pay for the services provided by the general fund of the city. That's my opinion. Open it up for discussion.
Can I,
Which item are
a
we on?
question? But last year, we used to pay the airport for the water usage, but then we found out that we could use the in-kind. And what historically were we paying the airport for the use of the water that we were given to the Medina Valley? Wasn't it about 60,000? Was it that much?
Nothing.
No, I don't remember. Yeah.
Before, if I remember correctly, before a few years ago, there was a $60,000 expenditure to the airport fund, and then that kind of went away. And
Well, no, this is specifically for the water.
okay,
No, there was no money transferred to the airport specifically for the water. The past couple of years, it was the lease. It was $8,900. If you're thinking about the releasing the water rights, that's something a little different. That was done in December 2024, and that's like a lump sum payment for the next 10 years to release those water rights.
This had to do with for the Medina Valley because we were irrigating their fields, or we were
baseball.
working and they could irrigate their fields off of airport water. We were paying the city out of the Parks and Recreation was paying the airport for the use of that water. But then Scott found out that, well, talking to the Department of Aviation, that if you all have in-kind services you're providing greater than that, then you don't have to make that cash payment anymore. Is that correct?
From what I remember, the baseball contract, they had up to, I think, 3 acre feet. 12 acre feet.
Right.
right,
A year to use anything over that they had to pay.
Well,
right.
no, but for that 3 acre feet, historically, the city, because we had to pay for the usage of the stuff off the airport. I'm looking at
Wasn't
legal.
it like 12,000 or something?
It was
I don't
about
remember. I think so.
$12,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the city was paying the airport.
Yeah, it was
for
paid by the
use of
general
water.
fund. Correct.
Sir, that's not correct.
Bob, our finance
Well-
director says it
Now we
is.
are.
Okay, what do you think it is?
The only money that went from the city to the airport was a fee, I think around $8,000 or so to compensate for the loss of income off of the ball field lease. The water was strictly to do with the city water system. If you've been here last meeting, we went into excruciating detail about this, and
No, this had to do with the fact that we were giving a part of the lease for the Medina Valley. We were giving them water from the airport, and therefore we thought 5 years ago that the city had to pay the airport for that water. And Scott found out about a year ago or 2 years ago that no, we don't have to do that because we can give them in-kind stuff, and it was about $12,000 a year. So we basically and that money was coming out of the Parks and Recreation budget to pay for that. And you can correct me if I'm wrong next meeting, but Leroy's shaking his head. Yes.
Okay, I got a text from Scott. Hold on. Scott.
General fund.
Oh, he
Scott says-
text you?
Yeah, he texted me.
Wow.
Scott says that the general fund paid roughly $12,500 for water, but it was paid to utility fund, not airport.
What does that mean?
The utility system owns the water system. It's a public water system at the airport. The airport does not own the water system. So that means any revenue off of the sale of water through the meters belongs to the utility system,
Okay.
not to the airport.
Well, that part of, I guess what I was saying is I thought we actually paid that to the airport, but Scott's correcting me and saying we didn't. So that takes the argument off. But I don't know. I kind of agree with Bob's memo he sent out earlier. I don't think we need to, for the little bit of service, if any service that the police department is providing to the airport, just like the police department, this has to do with an enterprise fund. Well, is the police department also watching our utilities to make sure that people aren't stealing transformers? Well, then we should transfer money out of the utility fund and to pay for those police services. But so here, I guess, right now, when it's going to be operating at a deficit, and I don't think we need to put additional deficit on them because we have to let them collect money so that they can meet these grants, the 10% grants that have to be met when we get money from the state. So if they don't have money to make these ramp grants, then that's going to hurt us in the long run. So I think we need to leave them with some money that we can get 10 times the amount of money back from what we are spending. So that's my comment.
And I got it. And just let me clarify, there's almost $800,000 in the bank account for the airport.
Yes.
The airport is the only budget that's showing a deficit, even though you're $500,000 into deficit on utilities and a significant deficit in the general fund that you use in reserves to make up, but yet you're not making it up on the airport. You're just showing it as a deficit. So if you want to compare apples and apples, let's do them all the same because they're all running on deficits.
But the only reason why we have a healthy balance right now is because we got that release of the water rights, which is around $330,000. That has to sustain the airport for the next 10 years. And we already have that out, like I would say probably 90% of that allocated towards projects, multiple projects going on in the next 3 to 4 years. And so that brings that balance back down to $300,000 just to operate. And every year we only make maybe like $20,000 in revenue to continue with our projects. So it would be a huge it would be a huge strain on the airport and would not be sustainable.
I'm not arguing with that. My whole point, and again, I'm going to go back to the same thing as I'm fixing to get reminded. I don't have a vote. It's a city council decision. But my point is that there are a lot of people out here, a lot of people, more than even some of us believe there are, that believe that the airport fund should be paying for the services it receives from the city. Now, you may argue that the $76,000 or 5% of the police department fund is too much. I don't believe it is because you take all the budgets. But I believe there has to be some expenditure by the airport to compensate the general fund for the services that the airport fund receives.
I think then if that's the case, that maybe we should do, because I mean, I was out at the airport for a couple of years now. I mean, not every day, but out there, I would say the security from the police department is fairly minimal. It's not, I don't think it's worth that $76,000.
Okay.
But maybe we could do a better study than just to put that on the airport or look at different methods of trying to determine what that value should be.
Sure.
Because I just think it seems a bit much. And like I said, it would strain the airport. And I just don't know if that's the best way to move forward.
And along that avenue,
Sure.
for every time that I've gone out to the airport and everything, the most I saw the police out there was when the baseball games were going on.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, build the baseball, build Medina Valley baseball. That's the most time I see him out there. Yes, he's our board president for the
Sure,
airport
John,
advisory
go
board.
ahead.
Come on, John, come on up.
Just tell us who you are and
Now we know why John's here.
Been here and back.
Oh, we got John. And we
John
got
Planner,
Chuck here.
Airport Advisory Board Chair. Understand where you're going with your comments. I think the 5% is well in excess in terms of budget. I think let's talk about maybe overall use. I see one cop maybe a week out there. And if it's to do anything, excuse me, it's to use the bathroom that was located on the field and then turn around and leave. Another thing that the airport's been used for, and I've got video recordings of it on my phone, is actually for a training field for the sheriff's department, police department. I've watched twice of them training how to throw spike strips out and pull them away from cars right down the middle of between hangars in terms of where it's active aircraft predominant and aircraft has a first right away with absolutely no warning provided to pilots, following none of the speed limit signs. So, I mean, we can go on at endless times if we want to sit here comparing tit for tat of how the community and baseball or community and sheriff's department, other things like that use the airport as a resource as well.
Understood.
So understand that there's a lot of things that are up front. There's also a lot of things that happen, well, you know, I won't say behind closed doors, but that just happen. That the airport also is an asset that the city and its municipalities use.
And I respect that. Yes, sir. There's no question the airport's not an asset. But again, my opinion is just based on everything else, it should be fair.
Well, and the other thing, Brianna, remind me, but last year, the year before, we had somebody do a study as an economic generator. How many?
Yeah, and it does. It generates sales tax and all of those things. People come to the restaurant. I mean, I don't remember what that number was, but it is, of course,
was
as a
several $100,000.
yeah.
Like for my, yeah, it could be 3 or 4 million. So as an economic generator for that, it generates revenue for the city. So if anybody's complaining that thinking that we're subsidizing the airport, they ought to realize the economic generator that the airport gives back.
Chuck, do you want to speak any?
No.
He's, oh,
Did you,
He was at-
as far, I'm sorry, as far as this particular item, the budget? I'm sorry.
It's kind of red light, the batteries could be dead. You got another one?
Well, that's fine. I mean, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said what I said, but I mean, but if you want to make a comment as far as the airport fund budget, you're welcome to do so. Okay, okay. Councilman Murs.
Yeah. We have an approval from the FAA that the way that the airport and the city were dealing with each other and exchanging goods and services and values a month ago was fair. And people can haggle over whether specific services or specific infrastructure was being sufficiently compensated back and forth. Ultimately, the city owns the airport.
Yes, sir.
And so arguing that, well, we're compensating ourselves for 100% of this well maintenance, or you're not paying for the police department. I feel like both of these things are ultimately trying to sort of nag and eat at ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it really behooves either sub-organization, the airport fund or the general fund, for this to really turn into a nasty argument.
Agreed.
When we do already have an approved status quo. Now, if we want to review in more detail in the future, that's fine. I don't think it necessarily belongs in the budget process as a hang up on the budget process.
Okay.
We could certainly spend a year with a red pen standing at the airport gate, right?
50 years, actually.
Huh?
It's 50 years since the ball fields have been there.
Well, I'm just mean.
No, but I'm just saying,
we
people
could
have been
spend all the
going-
next year and do it in the
Yeah.
next budget and have a down to the fraction of a cent estimate of how much one side or the other owes the other. I just don't know that that's really a good use of our time, and I don't know that it's good for the city or the airport in the long run.
Yes, sir. No, it's really not. Mr. Marchman, did you have anything?
I do not.
Did we already talk to you?
No, sir, you have not.
Mr. Lee, go ahead.
Let's see, it's 8:30 almost.
Oh, I do have a motion
Sure.
that if we go past 9 o'clock, we adjourn until tomorrow.
I second that.
I don't know if we can do that.
because of
You
the.
can't have a motion to reset.
But somebody said that.
You can't do
Someone
that.
told us that Robert's Rules of Order. You had the book.
Oh.
Yes.
You can't make a motion to recess. So he's going to wait till 9 o'clock to make.
Well, I will say there's a couple items that if you're going to have a budget workshop next week, that we could push towards that for next week, and we really would have like one.
Well, I want to hear hold on to that thought, and you have motion a second, and let's leave this. We have a motion a second to recess this meeting at 9 if it's not over by 9. Is that correct, the way I just read that?
Yes.
A motion and a second on that? Okay, well,
I'm sorry.
can we,
Well, further discussion is if you get to 9 o'clock, he can then,
let's go to
we
them.
can vote.
Mr. Lee, would you please continue on with the airport?
Well, you have a motion and a second.
Well, since we have a motion and a second, the motion, let's vote on that one too.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of
Wait a
that?
minute, what about the discussion?
Or discussion, okay, discussion.
I'm sorry, we have, tell me who made this motion.
Mr. Marchman made a motion to recess this meeting at 9 PM if if it's not over by then, and it's been seconded by Phil King. And is there a discussion on that?
Yes.
Yes. Sir.
And I would ask why you would prefer 9 o'clock versus possibly 10 or something?
Because after 9, it gets too long. I think we're not functioning, and I think we should be respectful of that time, and we can reconvene tomorrow.
Well, then I think we should have agreed on that ahead of time. My wife's had her knee replaced, and I'm kind of working all this stuff in, and I have to make plans to do what it is I need to do. And so I'm usually good till 10:30 or 11 o'clock, and so that's why I was curious. But so I'm personally not in favor of going for tomorrow.
Can we vote?
And
I also have a comment as well.
Yes, sir.
There are a number of items on here, the budget, the tax rate, the fee schedule, possibly the utility rate. A lot of that stuff is time sensitive. And I don't know if tomorrow actually could cross deadlines. Sometimes we're really down to the wire on these things.
We have to do the proposed tax rate today, for sure.
So today, not tomorrow. So
Understood.
Okay.
So do you need to make a vote
we
on
have
that?
35 minutes to get the critical.
I would like to speak on the airport issue.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, you got a motion and a second.
All in
Well, the
favor?
other thing though is that Robert's rule says if you hit 9 o'clock, you can have a revote to extend that.
Okay.
Someone just has to make a motion, a second, you vote to extend it. So this,
Yes.
so
Motion
it's
made and
gonna
second.
close there unless someone makes
Motion
another
made and seconded to end the meeting at 9, recess the meeting at 9 p.m. if it's not completed by then. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, that motion failed. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lee, on your budget.
Okay, I'll try to be respectful of all parties. What's that? Yeah, till Christmas, right. I've been dealing with the airport for 25 years, probably know as much about it as anybody in the city, save maybe Chuck at the back of the room there. And have been fighting these battles on and off. I'd like to correct one thing that seems to have not come across last week, and the information provided innocently to the FAA to do with the compliance inspection was incorrect. So it isn't something you just throw off that they accepted it. It was incorrect. It was innocently done, but it was incorrect because the city owns the water system, as has been corrected now, and not the airport. So when they said in-kind services were the water system maintenance, that was incorrect information, innocently given. So that's a non-starter, has nothing to do with anything at this point. I can see a scheme behind this to try to get in-kind services because the ball fields value that we passed at the last time to get a FAA approved audit of the ball fields is going to be well over $80,000, well over. And the airport has received basically nothing from the lease of that land for more than 15 years. More than 15 years. So it's out hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in FAA required revenue. Okay. I completely agree with the mayor that if the airport or some other fund, and of course the utility fund already pays an arm and a leg to the general fund for everything under the sun. So I would put that off not having to be considered. But if the airport uses a service of some, like the Public Works, then they should be expected to help defray the cost of that. That's only reasonable. And that was one of the reasons that the $6,000 going to the general fund was put in there, and X amount coming from the general fund to pay for the ball field to offset some of the problems. About 10 or 15 years ago, the lovely administrator assessed a $90,000 administrative fee on the airport. $90,000. It was $500 a month to support 2 computers. Okay, it was completely outrageous. And when the next administrator came in, we did an assessment of what the support was supposed to be, and the figures came out and said this is completely unreasonable. And that's when we got to the I think $6,000 or $8,000 to give support to the administration, which was mailings and handling billing and those kinds of things. If there's something beyond that, and the water system isn't part of it because that belongs to the city, there really isn't much out there that the Public Works does for the airport because it's got CPS electricity, but there is some. Anyway, if you would like to destroy the airport, then use a percentage figure, which I don't think is an accurate way to do it. It needs to be, if you do that, it needs to be to services rendered, billed as required, not to just pick something arbitrarily and put it into effect, because that's a good way to cause all kinds of chaos. I think possibly this item could be, we can vote on it and see what the council wants to do, but maybe put this off until we finish with the budget to re-examine exactly what types of support are going to the airport or any other entities that need to be considered for making compensation to whatever fund that work comes from. And then we'd have time to work through it properly.
Can I make a motion?
I think that's a great idea, but yes, sir.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, and by the way, I make a motion that the city not charge the airport for police protection.
Second.
A motion made, second, not to charge the airport fund for police protection, security, police security. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And by the way, the city used to pay the airport, Scott just reminded me, it's for the ground lease. That was $9,000 a year.
That's what
That's the money we're talking.
that's what they're paying for the Little
They used to
League,
be paying that
the
for
ground
lease,
fees. That's
and they
correct.
don't pay that anymore.
Okay.
So that was $9,000. we took
All right,
out of it.
and we're going to have a budget workshop on September 3rd at 5 p.m. To go over the rest of everything. All right, let's go next one to the item C, discussion and possible action regarding the 25 tax rates, including a review of the no new revenue, voter approval, and diminished tax rate calculations. Leroy.
Yes, so basically what the tax office needs is for council to approve on the proposed tax rate. This is just a proposed rate. You're not going to vote for the actual rate until September the 9th. Of the 0.5233, but what we're recommending today on the proposed rate is a 0.5982, which is a voter approval rate. That's the highest that we can go before vote without going out there for the voters. But on September 9th, you can vote on anything lower than that. And so we're just going to vote on the cap, or y'all are going to vote on the cap today of 0.5982 on that proposed rate. But come September the 9th, you'll vote on the actual rate of 0.5233. So,
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
On the you're recommending the 5982.
Mm-hmm.
On the 5982, how does that break down?
that's the voter approval rate. So the breakdown is the M&O of 0.4764, followed by the INS of 0.1218.
Now, your INS just went up because you issued $3.5 million. So
Right.
what is the INS for that?
All we're voting for. So this was before we were going to issue the new debt of the
Right.
3.5 million. But we're still okay because the max that we can go out for voter approval is a 0.5982. And so we're just recommending that y'all approve that rate because, again, come September the 9th, you can vote anything lower than that. And that's a breakdown that we're going to give you that you already have of that 0.333 for the M&O and then the 0.19 for the INS, which gives you the 0.53, where's it at?
So the
5233.
I just want to clarify. 5233
It's the same rate.
is what I understand, and everybody will say councils can't force others. But the city council committed to 5 years. This would be the 5th year.
Correct.
And that's pushed aside. And we want to go to 5982, which is
The voter approval rate.
the highest we can go for approval rate, because
Correct.
the tax office gives us the maximum amounts. We're not obligated to do that, but that's the highest we can do.
Correct.
But it's
So
what's
that's-
referred to by statute as
hang
the
on.
voter approval.
I understand that.
Right.
But that is, in essence, that is a 12% tax increase without any voter thing, because we can do that.
Correct. And we did this last year and the year before that as well.
But we held to the 5233.
When it came down to the actual vote on the proposed rate, yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to recommend again in September.
On the actual.
Okay, you're just giving a proposed one. This isn't the actual rate.
Correct.
Setting
Okay.
our max that we can adopt.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Put in the newspaper.
Good.
It will be put in the newspaper for this purpose. And then we also need to do a roll call.
For this,
Once you do that, yes, sir.
well, for this tonight is a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay.
And you have a motion in front of you.
Sure.
On the agenda backup, the motion is there.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion, correct me if I'm wrong, Leroy, motion to approve by record vote a proposed tax rate of $0.5982 for the 2025 tax year,
Shouldn't that be 26?
It's 25.
Okay.
consisting of maintenance and operations of $0.4764 and interest and sinking of $0.1218. The proposed tax rate will generate an additional $135,502 in revenue.
And it's supposed to be 26.
It's 25. They're always
They're already
like,
behind. It's
okay.
FY 26,
Yeah.
but it's for the tax 25 tax year.
Okay.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that. Go ahead, David.
I'll second that.
David Murr seconds. The motion is to approve by record vote a proposed tax rate of 0.5982 for the 2025 tax year, consisting of maintenance and operations of 0.4764 and interest and sinking of 0.1218. The proposed tax rate will generate an additional $135,502 in revenue. We're going to make a discussion because I have to ask a question. I see here on this roll call vote, my name's on there. Does that mean I have to vote on this
that's
too?
in case there was a.
I didn't think so.
Somebody didn't show up. There was a tie. Then you.
I was going to say I didn't think I have to vote because I've been reminded of that multiple times. Okay, we're going to make a roll call vote, so we're going to go right down the line. Sheena?
I would,
Oh.
we can have discussion.
Oh, you want to have a
before the
discussion
vote.
first?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to mention, there was a lot of concern last year because of the statutory required language on what the newspaper announcement looked like. And it assumes that your house increased in value by a certain amount,
Yes.
which a lot of people's actually went down, but we built more expensive houses, so the average went up. And so for a lot of people last year, we were saying, we're going to adopt 5233 again. And it's like, that's a 27% increase. It wasn't actually.
It was
a
an
very large
increase,
number.
yes.
And last year we said we wanted to try and think of a better way to communicate in parallel with the required statutory newspaper announcement.
Yes, sir.
What it actually means, that this is not a rate that's becoming in effect. This is just us setting.
The cap.
So I don't,
Okay.
I imagine we don't have time to get it in the newsletter before that newspaper announcement would go out. So I don't know if we could do, we probably can't do like an iInfo. I don't know if that would be appropriate, but
I think
does anyone have ideas on how we could try to advertise exactly what this is before people see it in the newspaper?
I think Laura Hart's going to write the article. I think she's listening.
Okay.
And she'll call one of us and ask us, but this is nothing but other than the proposed rate, and it's not going to be the final rate.
Well, we know that,
But
there's going to be a
Laura
ad
will be
in
the
the
one
newspaper
writing the
that
newspaper
says-
article, and she will convey. I'm sure she will convey.
We could put something out on the website for sure.
Language.
Yeah.
I mean, just general language so they'll understand, because it
Yeah.
doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a legal language.
And it's a good suggestion what you're saying, but I think Laura can wrap that into the article.
I'm just
All right.
completely confused. You post a rate that you know is higher than what you're going to finalize. Okay, okay. Let's go for a vote. Sheena,
Any discussion?
more discussion? Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
As long as we have an opportunity to discuss the
Yes, sir.
items in the budget, which we have yet to do, fee schedule, all that, I have quite a few questions concerning that. But what I've taken away from my short time back on council is we really do not take in enough revenue to cover our expenses. It's only because we have a healthy reserve fund that we're able to do things like work on streets. Okay? And so to me, if you don't cover your increased cost of doing business by passing it to the people that have to keep your government going, you're being irresponsible. And so that's why, regardless of what might have been promised by previous council, we need to make sure we stay ahead of this thing and not get ourselves into a jam. If you didn't have the reserve funds right now, would you be doing this very same action? Well, those funds are going to disappear sooner or later. And so you need you need to be thinking about that and not kick the I'll raise it later and try to play catch up, because no matter when you do it, and you're going to have to do it, people will not be happy. But we're not happy either because we're paying more. We're giving employees pay raises because they need them. Somebody's got to pay for that. And so we have a choice. It's either sales tax or it's property tax.
And we can't raise sales tax.
No, and we lose a portion of that. So I think it's responsible to be honest with the citizens and say, here's the facts.
Any other comments, discussions? Okay, let's go to the vote. Sheena?
Yay.
Excuse me, Deborah, are you keeping track of this? Okay. It's, Sheena is a yay. Mr. Marchman?
Yay.
Yay. Mr. King?
Yay.
Good. Mr. Mers?
Yay.
Okay, and Mr. Lee?
I'm going to say yes because I don't think it's something to be happy about.
Okay, it is a unanimous vote of all 5 council members.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Move on to the next item. Discussion and appropriate action on adopting comprehensive fee schedule. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the first look at this. It was not specifically on here for council to take action on. It was to look what it is, kind of digest the numbers, kind of look through it. I have questions. I think several people do. And maybe we need to get those questions to Scott more, because he can answer more of the questions about why they are what they are, and why the fees have changed in some areas, stayed the same in some areas, and in one case, it's inconsistent between departments. Okay, and I just have some questions. So I would entertain a motion to, you guys look at this, come up with your thoughts and comments. We will bring this back at the next council meeting.
Comment.
Yes, sir.
We have to discuss it sooner or later. I don't know how our comments would
We-
necessarily change between
We could,
kicking it down the road or not.
if you want to do that, go down that and talk about them, we can, or we could talk about this. You can bring back your thoughts and comments back to the budget workshop, and we can kind of go through that stuff then. I mean, that's what I'd really like to do, is because we have to approve this.
Scott Leroy. I do.
I would rather do that.
Well, if I may, I've asked a question about putting some things to do with airport rates, and some of those got done, some didn't. And if I ask the question to staff and I still get the no, we're not going to do that answer, then I'm back to asking you if you want to do that. Okay. And so if you agree tonight, yeah, I think that makes sense, then we've covered that. I don't have to ask the staff because it's really up to you.
I would ask, I agree, I understand, Bob. I would ask that any of you that have a question in asking it to Scott or Leroy, copy it to me so we can have a discussion and I can at least tell you my thoughts on that. I know what some of yours are and I agree with some of them.
But
Believe it
how
or
are we
not.
going to capture those questions and answers? That way the citizens can see
Yes.
what we're asking. How would that be captioned?
Well, if you want to go through them now, or you want to go through them with the budget workshop?
I'd rather it be brought up at the budget workshop.
Sure.
That way citizens
Absolutely.
can see that we are asking the hard questions
If-
and the answers are getting out there for them. Because
I guess,
that was a
I
question
have no
I
problem
thought.
with that.
Yeah.
but I would give them full warning so they can go and research those.
Oh, yeah,
Hard
yeah,
questions.
yeah. No.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Make a general statement, see if council agrees with
Yes,
it or
sir.
not.
Yes, sir.
A number of fees up here have gone up some.
Yes.
However, many of these fees have been the same for years.
Yes.
For years, okay? Yet, in every case, our costs go up.
Right.
And so I'm going, why are we not passing on just like I said a while ago, why are we not passing on our cost to do business to the people that pay the fees?
I agree.
Okay, and so I'm just saying, does council agree with that? If we've had something been consistent for years and years and years, and I just really don't want to charge them more money. Well, between the swimming pool and the park, it's like $800,000, but we don't even take it in there. So, I mean, there are things we could make some small adjustments to help our bottom line. And I would get rid of anything that had to do with pennies. Okay, so
Okay.
any figure ought to be rounded to the nearest dollar.
I don't have a problem working with
Well,
something.
maybe not
I would
printing.
just fundamentally,
Maybe not
Bob,
printing.
I would just,
Printing per page
Excuse
probably doesn't need to be rounded to the dollar.
No, because there's certain fees here
You're
that I'm looking
correct.
at with the state.
They set.
Yes.
But when we do a
We can't go over
percentage, we
that,
get
so
all
I'm gonna
these
revisit this,
17
because I don't
cents,
think
22
these are correct.
cents.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I seen some of those too, Deborah. I know some of the, like printing copy, some of those are regulatory. We're managed what we can cap on those. We're capped. When you get to that, for example, there's a copying in one area is this, in
Bless you.
admin is this, library is this, but it's cheaper to go get a copy at the PD. So we just need to be consistent.
but some of their statutory.
Yeah, I understand.
Like impact fees.
So
I had just misunderstood Councilman Lee. I thought, I just wanted to clarify that he didn't think printing fees should be rounded
oh
up to
no,
a dollar
no,
per page.
I got it. I got it.
literally
I think we're on the same page if we can come
Well,
together.
there you go. I disagree with Councilman Lee in some respects if he's saying that we should raise fees for like the swimming pool, the use of the swimming pool. Some things the community just supports, the city supports is for the good of the citizens. And I don't think the swimming pool has to make, that we don't have to make a balanced budget if you just look at the swimming pool. I do know since I've been on council, every year they look at these fees hard.
Yes.
Community development, they go up, they try to cover everything. So in my mind, I think, and just like they did this time, very specifically, they raised certain fees. So in my mind, I think we're doing that. I don't think we just keep it because we're gonna take a hit, except for some very specific things. So I go back to the same thing. If you have some very specific questions, and not just a generality, but if you say very specifically, why did this stay the same, then that gives Leroy and Scott the opportunity to respond to us at the workshop.
There's 100 of them.
And
Specifically, and say each one.
and I would ask that just include me in that if you would please, because I could throw you a couple 2 cents worth in on why. Not I'm trying to step on, but a lot of you'd be amazed, even though it doesn't appear that way. We agree on a lot of things.
And I will say, if we do get the questions ahead of time, we can go back to the
Sure.
department director to find out why they recommended that number, or whether it was an increase or decrease. But that prepares us to help you whenever to make those that
To be able to
decision.
answer the question.
We'll have the answer
Yes.
readily available. So,
I'm good with that. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I have just one comment on one
Yes.
fee.
Yes.
In the plats and planning, there is a fee for preliminary. We don't have a district for that. I assume that was RB at some point and
RC.
it got cut out. Well, we have RA and RC. But it's talking about zoning districts, and we don't have a zoning district named two family.
Okay.
Is-
Okay. We're pretty good on that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but everybody get your comments in. We'll go from there. We'll bring this back. We'll actually discuss this more at the budget workshop on the 3rd. Okay. Item F, discussion and possible action on the proposed gas utility rate adjustment. Spoke with Leroy and John beforehand. We're asking that this be tabled to the next meeting because we don't have our folks here to talk about it. So,
Agreed.
any objection?
Nope.
We'll push that to the next meeting. Okay, which leads us down to item 8, discuss and appropriate action on authorizing a contract for the purchase of 43 acre feet of Edwards Aquifer water rights from Muttmore Family Limited Partnership. I read this contract. This is a straight up purchase of water rights, 43 acre feet. If I'm going to, before I turn to the page, $10,500 an acre foot, I believe is the cost that's on there, which under current market is a very good price. And I would ask for city council to make the motion to approve this contract.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract for the purchase of 43 acre feet of Edwards Aquifer water rights from the Muttmore Family Limited Partnership as presented in our packet.
I second.
Motion made and second to authorize the purchase of 43 acre feet of groundwater rights. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, see? I'll sign that contract. That's a good, because I'm gonna say, if you didn't want to buy it, I would. If you didn't want to buy it, I would. Okay. This leads us to the city administrator's report, and I'm going to go ahead. I talked to Leroy ahead. I would ask, because of Scott's unavailability, even though he's out there online somewhere, I would ask that y'all look at the information. We defer any comments except just straightly to Scott, because I don't want to get Leroy, or I don't want to put words in Scott's mouth for some of the reasons he wrote, unless you have specific questions that I might be able to answer, which I probably won't. Yes, sir.
Microphone keeps going off, weren't you pushing it? But, and it was a budget issue and also a issue right here. It has to do with the splash pad.
Yes, sir.
And I got some information from the park board. And if it turns out that that particular facility has got to be completely torn up and redone, it would make an excellent base for a pavilion, which is also on the list of things that needs to be. And it essentially, if you needed to destroy and redo the splash pad, Park Board says you could actually move it to another location right near there, and you've got a perfectly good, expensive slab that you could put a pavilion top over. Okay, there's already about $14,000-15,000 in the parks stuff that specifically has to be used for shade at Lions Park. So there's already a good portion of the money it would take to cover that thing available. And so this would really do a lot to make that park more friendly to people that might want to use it at any time. You could get some revenue off of a covered pavilion and not have to destroy a very expensive pad. So please think about that for.
Yes, sir. We can forward those comments and to Scott, and then see how he goes from there. Yes, sir.
Bob, I agree with you if it has to be destroyed,
Right,
but I don't think so. Scott, I told Scott that is my profession. Scott and I were supposed to meet this afternoon at 2:30 to talk about that. He went and copped out on me. And
Well, I'm supposed to be with him tomorrow. I was supposed to be yesterday and tomorrow, so we're done with that too.
But nothing will be done before it comes back to city council.
Right.
We can't make guesses about what we're going to do until we actually know how bad it is.
But we'll get all that information to Mr. Dixon.
How are we progressing on the warrant, seeing if it's warranty? Because it says here that you're working with staff. Is it covered? It says right here.
Phil
That,
King hadn't done anything yet.
All that
It says Phil King isn't working so much on the warranty. Phil King's working on the repair plan.
oh, no, it just says to review the warranty.
It says review the warranty and proposed work.
That's what
None
the
of that's
sentence-
been done yet. That's
Okay.
was.
Okay.
Okay.
Remember, I was out of town at your country.
Okay. Is there any other general questions that I might be able to help you with? Or Leroy?
This is just a report, you're not supposed to be discussing it. There's no discussion on it.
Oh,
I was wondering.
Are you serious? We can't address questions on a report?
Well, because there's no, originally this had, under the staff reports, there was a line item that our previous city attorney had put on it because they.
Got it. I see it.
Too much discussion.
I see it.
And so now, when I moved it under his report.
I got it.
there's nothing there.
I got it. I missed that because my reports that I'm used to in my other profession always say discuss an action on them. It gives us an opportunity to discuss the items. There's no discussion on this. We need to discuss that.
Mayor, my question
Yes.
was related to the budget.
Okay,
Not-
got it. Okay. Thank you for that information. Thank you, Scott, Leroy. Let's move on to discussion of future agenda items. We're going to have, I just want to reiterate again, and I hope everybody can make it, except I know you, Houston, but everybody else here, on 9/3 at 5 p.m. I'll bring birthday cake. Okay?
is that your birthday?
Yep. We're going to have a budget workshop, and we're going to do what we have to do. In my opinion, the intent is to come out of that meeting with a proposed budget. So please please be prepared with your questions, with your comments, with whatever you want to be, so we could not speed through it, but so we could, we can address everybody's concerns and come to a consensus. So we can adopt the budget at the September 9th meeting. Yes, sir.
Are we going to get additional paperwork for that meeting? Because a lot of the paperwork that we've already been given probably applies to that meeting. And so we
Other
need to
than
know
the-
what to pull and bring.
I need to talk to you about, of course, obviously, we've talked about the airport thing. We'll take that off. We never went through a line item fully per se on the enterprise fund. I know we never really finalized the stuff on general fund. We're close on a lot of things. We are very close. But I don't know what information you can provide.
Other than the department line item budgets by department.
The most recent ones you have.
Ones, we can bring that back to
The
council.
most recent ones you have for all three funds of
The expenditures.
projected revenues and expenditures by line per each one. And then get that out as quickly as you can, so everybody can do their homework and come up with their questions and answers prior to the meeting. I know it's a 3-day weekend coming up, but if you can get the stuff out by the end of this week, it would be great.
Well, I'll have to post Thursday.
Well, you have to,
I'm gone Friday, so I will have to post for next
you can,
Wednesday. I have to post Thursday. I can post it tomorrow,
right, you can post tomorrow because
but I'm not here tomorrow. So
okay, Thursday. You have time on Thursday. Oh, I just want to let everybody know, in case you don't know, on effective September 1, posting has to be 3 full business days before the date of the meeting.
So,
It's not just 3.
3 business days before the date of the meeting.
Essentially Wednesday night.
So Wednesdays, they have to be posted for Tuesday meeting.
Well, I've got going right
The
now.
agenda, not the backup material, but the agenda.
I will post the agenda on Wednesday, and we will get the packets together by Thursday, so that you'll still get them either Thursday or if you're picking it up on Friday morning or something, so where you'll have it ahead of time.
Right.
But we'll have it up on the web for that.
But we have to finalize an agenda by Wednesdays.
When do you want our input to put us up to the agenda? Monday, Tuesday?
Preferably, I'd say by Tuesdays, no later than.
Well, we're having to do this almost a week in advance.
Yes.
So we have to have it, say, by Friday of this week. If we want something.
I'll let you and Scott figure that out on how much time you need to prepare. But by state law, we've been moved backwards on public notices. Yes. So just so everybody knows that.
I had
Yes, sir.
a few
Yes, sir.
future agenda items.
Yes, sir.
So Houston and I were assigned to work on potential development ordinance changes.
Yes, sir.
And we were able to meet on that. We're hoping to bring something during the second meeting in September
Okay, good.
for council consideration and possible referral to planning and zoning.
Okay, sounds good.
And then I plan to bring an item about traffic calming and safety in Country Village and its related subdivisions at
Yes.
the second meeting in September.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm just
Is that
putting that out.
shot
So
across
if
the
you-
bow?
Shot across the bow. If you haven't heard something from me by a day when something's supposed to be submitted,
We know what's coming. Do you have anything, sir?
I wasn't here at the last meeting. I know there was discussion on the paper streets. Is
Yes.
that something where staff is
We're-
looking at
they're-
bringing something back to us?
Yes, they've been told to prepare an ordinance, am I correct? To prohibit vehicles beyond that's right,
Prepared
prepared
surface.
surface.
Okay. Yeah, and that's all.
And bearing in
but
mind,
it's coming back.
bearing in mind, because of a question about a golf cart or the UTVs, by our ordinance, they're classified as vehicles.
Agreed, yeah. That's
So,
not a problem.
so that's the whole intent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just asking if, so it is coming back to us?
Yes,
in the
sir.
near future.
Yes, sir. It will come back.
Okay, sounds good.
Houston, did you have anything you wanted to add?
for September,
Yes.
I would like to look at moving HLC from 7 members to 5.
Okay. You want to talk about the HLC ordinance? Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Sheena?
Now we got enough important stuff we gotta take care of.
Okay, and let us know. Okay, that's gonna, look at there. We made 9 o'clock. We didn't need to extend anything. Okay. I like to do this. Anybody making a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Don't move.
Second.
Second, I know there's no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 9:02 PM.